2 wheelbases, 1 goal: to set a new standard for high torque direct drive racing. The R21 Ultra Direct Drive wheelbase packs a relentless 21 Nm of sustained torque, while the R25 Ultra True Torque Direct Drive wheelbase delivers a commanding 25 Nm, while both respond in under a millisecond. So what happens on the track, you feel instantly. With over 2 million points of precision from their 21-bit encoders, they track every steering input and every micro change in road surface, giving you the control that you can trust at any speed and every corner. Designed with a compact motorsports-inspired profile, the R21 Ultra Direct Drive wheelbase looks as serious as it performs. Dual RGB light strips along the top edges offer 16.7 million colors and fully customizable lighting effects, including real-time telemetry feedback for ABS, traction control, gear shifts, and flag signals. The R25 Ultra True Torque Direct Drive wheelbase features Moza's next-generation custom flat-wire motor, engineered for sim racing precision. Its torque sensors read your steering input in real time and works with the motor in a closed feedback loop, delivering sharper handling, tighter control, and unmatched detail. A rigid die-cast aluminum unibody and intelligent cooling system keeps performance consistent for hours of racing, meaning no fade or compromises. And with Moza Pit House, it puts you in command. Tune springs, damper, friction, and curves, or keep it simple with ready-to-run profiles. And with the dedicated ports for every Moza peripheral, your rig stays clean and connected. R21 Ultra Direct Drive wheelbase or R25 Ultra True Torque Direct Drive wheelbase, 21 Nm or 25 Nm. Whichever you choose, you're stepping into the most advanced force feedback we've ever made.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Hi, I'm Jada. I currently race GT3 in Australia. It's a cool brand. The socks and the gloves are quite cool, and it's good to use on the sim. High quality materials, and most importantly, comfortable. Quite cool to feel all the bits doing their job, and that's good.
Two rounds in, and the understanding is now all about who has got control over the early stages. And I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to understand that it's the number 56 of Damon Woods. But the understanding will be, does that look to replicate here today, or does that change? Because this is the Grand Prix Strecker of the Nurburgring, a circuit that, while it's not as, I would say, as difficult as bigger brother the Nürburgring Nordschleife, it still holds all of the difficulties out there that you'd expect over racing here in the Moza Racing Porsche Pro Invitational. Your third round here, bringing you all of the amazing action from the Rhineland-Palatinate. My name's Jake Sperry. Reese Gardner is alongside with me for today's action, with Jay Kennedy out there on production for this one overall. But Reese, what a circuit we come to, because this is one of these underrated tracks, I think. You look at it and the name is synonymous with what that massive Nordschleife brings about, but the Grand Prix Strecker, I think, because of that, gets very heavily overshadowed, and it will cause a lot of great racing to go and get to over in this racing action.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. The Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit does live in a very long shadow of the Nurburgring Nordschleife, and so people don't really give it its dues. But for my money, I think it's one of the best circuits for racing out there. It's existed since the early 1980s, and it's been through a couple of changes over the years, but its current form, with that tight turn one, the arena section bringing you up over the hill, should provide some very interesting action on the first lap. And of course, you have the Schumacher S over on the far side of the lap as well. Not much margin for error there. It's very much a modern venue with some expansive runoff areas, but most of them have gravel in them, so the drivers do need to be careful of that too.
They absolutely do, and they will know that they've got 2 races here tonight in order to set themselves up and put themselves into control here today. So as they look to set up, so we've seen where the schedule has gone. We started at the Hockenheimring, had a bit of a special format over at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps due to server updates or in-game updates, but here at the Nürburgring Grand Prix Strecker, we're back to the tried and tested 7,100 in terms of kilometers distance here, and they're setting themselves up on this European first half of the schedule, and then quite strongly into that second half of the schedule, Reese. We're heading to all the great Australian circuits as we sprinkle in a bit of Miami and Imola alongside.
Yes, hopping across the globe somewhat, but it's very much geographically close together for the first 6 rounds of the season. Le Mans is going to be very interesting indeed. Circuit Zandvoort is an absolutely fantastic track in Porsche Cup. Red Bull Ring is going to be all about the draft, of which we're going to be seeing quite a bit here at the Nürburgring as well. But very interested to see how they'll go at Miami. It's a bit of a sort of hybrid street circuit and purpose-built affair there before we go to Adelaide, a proper street circuit for the final round of the championship in December. It is a long season with an awful lot of chances to make up points, but an awful lot of chances to lose them too.
Absolutely, and so your chances to lose those points are going to be critical, because you've got those triple headers over at the Red Bull Ring, for example, and this guy, Damon Woods, well, he has been pretty flawless out there with the way he's gone about his business. 398 points, leads by 20 over Zach Rattray-White, with Rick Kuznetsov then in 3rd position. It's a slew of Eclipse and Vermilion cars as Byron Pierce is 4th, with Zach Kerr and Antal Sabo there for Vermilion, making them 3 in the top 6. 4 in the top 8 for Eclipse, with Seth Brown and Marina Morella 7th and 8th. Brock Gilchrist for Momentum finds himself 9th, and Miles Burgess for OPR Gamma Flare. They're rounding out your top 10. But there are some big gaps at the top of the points haul early, but they're also going to be understanding, Reese, that it's what goes along later on in the season that will count. Now it's about building a margin.
Yes, so making sure that you're getting those results now is probably the most important. You don't want an early round mistake to be hanging over your head like a dark storm cloud later on in the season when we get to November, December. Really, you want to be building up that margin now. So focusing on being safe and keeping the average pace up is going to be incredibly important in these early stages.
It absolutely will, and we will get an understanding of that as we go about into racing around this Nürburgring Grand Prix Strecker, which has been in play since 2001, the current layout, the latest change to the circuit, of course, adding of the AMG Arena, what used to be just a right-left start out there to the lap in the late 90s. But as far as this circuit will go. Many places to go and challenge on what is an incredibly hilly racetrack. You've got that big drop into the Padgett Racing curve, the Goodyear hairpin at turn 7, but you come all the way up to the Chalmy curve at 10, and Bilstein at 11 leads you through the Falkenbogen up to the Vidal chicanery, and that leads to that Hyundai N corner out there. You have to be a little bit more choice on how you go about the move.
Yes, indeed. A lot of left-right sequences on this lap that'll set yourself up for some moves into the braking zones. You see the Schumacher S down there that I mentioned a bit earlier. Turns 8 and 9 uphill, and depending on the car, just about flat out through there. But these Porsche Cup cars, they tend to be a little less responsive on the front end than some drivers like. So I think a big lift into the Schumacher S at least is going to be required. Worth pointing out as well, the Nordschleife, of course, up to what would be the top right in the orientation of this map, has a bit of a higher grip surface than the Grand Prix circuit, and it really hits home when you drive the big combined layout they use for the Nurburgring 24. The surface is different for this Grand Prix circuit, a bit smoother, a bit more ground down, and as a result, the cars slide around a little bit more. Depending on track conditions, drivers could be in for a very slippery ride.
They very much could do. Right now in practice, it's a 20-degree track temperature at almost 8 a.m. in the morning, so that's going to be what they are covering with at the moment. Qualifying will be coming up in the next 5 minutes, which will be 20 minutes long. They'll have 14 laps here in race 1, but that is gridded from their qualifying order, as you'd expect. In race 2, you're gridded up from your race 1 finish position race with a top 10 invert.
And that's going to be very important. So the battle for 10th in race 1 will be giving some special attention to that. Whoever finishes in 10th will start on pole for race 2. But that second race, with a bit more distance involved, should result in a little bit more time to plan for moves. But lap 1, turn 1 is always hazardous here. It's such a big stop coming down the hill into a hairpin that really drops away at the apex. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple of spinners on the first lap in both races.
Yeah, there could definitely be a great opportunity as you've got that massive crunch into turn number 1 on circuit. Now, there are drivers who are in and some drivers who are out. So notable absences include Ben Pedersen, Dylan O'Keefe, the Porsche Carrera Cup Australia champion, and Jed van Hemert, then all out, which means Bo Albert gets the chance to jump in, as does Jackson Raihana for the second consecutive race meeting, and critically the 38 as well, Reese, of Jet Saragi.
Yeah, Jet Saragi driving for Team Max Boost, which has turned out to be quite a competitive outfit in this series. Sebastian Eskandari also racing for Team Max Boost in this round. We'll be having a talk to him a little bit later on in the grid walk, but we get our eye in for practice to see how these drivers are doing. And, well, no surprise to see that Damon Woods is currently P1 in practice, demonstrating the Schumacher S there, and just how much you have to use the curbs in this section of the circuit, flowing very nicely through turns 10 and 11 onto the backstretch.
Yeah, running through this second half of the lap, looking to try and charge back up the hill then towards home. The Falkenbogen here, this fast right in the Falcon colours, the Falcon Sim Racing 56. Then pushing over towards the Speedo chicanery using the Grand Prix style chicane out there, which means you have to absolutely bound it over the curbs. Use as much road on the left-hand side. You can climb them on the left before tipping it into the Hyundai N curve to end the lap outright. You try and drive off the exit, get as much power down. They're not going to get BMW M power down, but they are going to get Porsche power down in on play and say, look, that's going to be perfect before dropping here, Reese, into turn number 1 for another attempt of a lap, just understanding what the car is doing, and really this understanding of a section of circuit that challenges you. Off camber here through turn 2.
Yeah, blind on the way in as well. You've got to be very careful not to go beyond the curbs there. It's very easy to get an off track, which will invalidate your lap in qualifying. It's all about traction on the way out of the arena section too, another place where it's very easy to pick up an off track. Then you rejoin the original layout of the Grand Prix circuit here. Some pretty high curbs in this section, which will certainly cause some drama.
It certainly will, and that drama is just on the other side of this. Stay with us here. with yourself on SimSpeed and with the Australian Sim Racing Group, because your Moza Racing Porsche Pro Invitational is in play after this. Qualifying now about to kick itself into play. 20 minutes to go and put the best time available on the board. A maximum allotted quota of 15 laps to say here at the Grand Prix Strecker that you are out there and pushing for it. The pit lane is a hive of activity to leave and escape and gain track position in the early going. Slipstream is going to be the argument that everyone's going to be looking for out there overall, so keep an eye out on that as they go. And Reese, it's Sebastian Eskandari who's decided he wants to be out there first and foremost, looking to try and set tempo. Just behind him, Damon Woods and Zach Rattray-White, the two title contenders there at the top of the standings, next to each other on circuit.
Yes, in fact, our top three from practice leading the charge here. Sebastian Eskandari was second on the practice timesheets, behind Woods and ahead of Rattray-White. And the gaps up the front looking reasonably close. Damon Woods, of course, 2/10 quicker than Sebastian Eskandari, which is, well, depending on what series you acquaint yourself with, could be a rather large margin. But I've seen Eskandari racing before in open wheelers. He is an open wheel driver in the real world as well. Recently was driving Formula Fords in New Zealand just a month or two ago. So he's certainly got a lot of experience under his belt. Rattray-White running a 1 minute 54.8 in practice, which was well within a tenth of Eskandari's time. They're coming up to the end of the lap now, so let's see what they can do on their initial laps here.
So they'd have been pushing at about 75–80% of what they're capable of doing on these outlaps. Not enough to put wear into the tyres, but enough to generate the heat that is going to get the tyre up into window, because it will take a couple laps here before the full force of these qualifying times make themselves known. Eskandari, we're on board with into turn one. You have to turn slightly before you break down the hill on what is a very tilkerish turn one as you work through. It's the drop down the hill, very similar to turn two at Sepang. Back up then into the AMG Arena. Off camber, you're always going to slide over to the right-hand side. That might be a little bit too far wide from Eskandari as he pushes in nice and neat through turn three, a 90-degree right of turn four, which takes an age of Turnham to get out the other side. It feels like a hairpin, the way you want to put the power down under the Goodyear signage and into the next corner of turn five, which sets you up for this massive drop down the hill. The Paget Racing curve, camera angle doesn't quite do it justice, how much of a steep drop it is down there. Very easy to catch the gravel on the next side of the circuit, the left-hand side, before you sweep down the hill to the carousel-esque-inspired Goodyear hairpin.
Yeah, this is my favourite section of the circuit. Everything from turn 5 all the way up to the Schumacher S. It's a great sequence. This is the Schumacher S. Another one of those corners where you widen the entry by riding the curb on the way in, and there's a little bit of concrete beyond the apex at the right-hander that you can use, but you've got to be very careful not to dip your wheels into the gravel, otherwise that's going to be an invalidated lap. Faster than it looks at turns 10 and 11. Really, it's just a lift, a tap of the brakes to get the weight onto the fronts, and then you're powering out here. Much faster corners than they initially seem in this end section of the lap. This is going to be one of the big drama areas of today's racing, as Eskandari is going to let Damon Woods go here and pick up the slipstream. The very tight chicane, big curbs to use. Rattray White just behind. It's going to be very tight up here at the front, depending on how quickly they go around the lap. The Hyundai N curve at the end of the lap, again, faster than it looks, and the track widens a lot on the exit. You can use a lot of the curb there on the exit too. A successful run out there for Rattray White and for Woods. Woods sets a 1 minute 56.0 to set the pace here. Eskandari, as we saw, is going to have to wait a lap longer to get a time on the board.
Yeah, that was a lot more aggressive of a first lap, and Damon Woods lifts off again and says, look, I don't want to be leading everyone about us. Here goes Simon Mizomo right now in the number 954 machine out there, really looking to push to get his first time in. That's a 157.6, which will put him down near the further towards the rear, as Stefan McCartey will also be looking to push the 51 for these first laps, as will the 75 of Danny Davidson, who is hoping that these laps are going to start tiptoeing themselves around and saying, right, we're going to get one on the board and then look to try and build from there. Campbell Adams currently second. Nice to see Tom Bewley back. He missed round 2. He's third at the moment, as there is Jet going with a 57.4, which is good enough to be just behind Lewis Greathead.
Yep, 15th overall there for Jet Saragi on his initial lap. Of course, Saragi, one of the reserve drivers that are jumping in for this round due to absences, so a good chance for him to get some points on the board there. Project 36's Angus Lawford coming up to the end of the lap here in car number 52. We've had 24 cars setting times for the moment. Looks to be 44 drivers in the server at the moment. Lawford's initial time then on the board, and looks like that is an outlap there for Angus. He is still building up the pace.
Yeah, definitely looks like it. I wouldn't have called that lap time representative by any stretch of the imagination. And just look at the eyes as he looks to turn it into the corners there, staring his way through the corner. Not really much focus, not much blinking there, and almost like there's not much breathing either going about as he works in through 3, looks across, then over at turn 4. I don't think he's blinked for the whole AMG Arena section, Reese.
There's a blink right there. Keeping the focus up. It is quite a high focus section of racetrack because it's got those wide and flat curves that are very common around modern racetracks. And as I said, there's a really low grip surface through there, so you really have to be careful to hit your marks through that arena section. Those straights give you a chance to rest and relax before you try to keep the momentum up again here through the southern hairpin. Let's see how the run is uphill through the Schumacher S. We've seen a couple of improvements as of recent. Ewan Baker and Scott Rankin have made improvements up to 13th and 17th respectively. It looks like Angus is just having a bit of a chill there as he makes his way around the middle of the lap. Danny Davison finally puts in a representative time, and that's good enough for 9th. Brock Gilchrist up to the top 5 in car number 10. That's an impressive run.
Yeah, they're improving, and they're letting themselves know as Ansel Sabo is another one looking to jump up the order then as he does a 202.8, so gears him up for another one. Seth Brown now up to 7th position with a time, and Byron Pierce, who was very, very impressive last time out, his lap time doesn't count, so he's 2 laps down, and he hasn't set anything as far as this goes. So what will this be in the back pocket of Angus Lawford to basically open up his account for running here in the opening stanza of this qualifying? The answer is there was an off track there. There was a shake of no as he was going through the second half of the lap. So ultimately for Angus, I think he understands, I'll let that one slip, but my tyres should be even hotter and should be even grippier, and I should have an even better time of things here going on to this next lap attempt. So starting to get itself close, 3.5 tenths, splitting your top 10.
And the lap times will keep coming down, remember. Oh, there we go. There's Eskandari getting his first proper lap in, and it's a 56.2. Not bad. Corey Lazarus, though, and Jack Wittes making improvements there. So it looks like the OPR guys are doing quite well at the moment. Stuart Ellis and Lachlan Capel getting into 9th and 10th. Sam Muir makes an improvement up from 28th to 20th. This is where we really start seeing the business end of those lap times as Reese Wakefield gets into 4th. 4th. These tyres, they start at ambient temperature and they have no grip when they get on the car initially. As you said, you do have to wait about 4 or 5 laps before you really start seeing proper times from these cars. Remember, practice pace ultimately was mid 1 minute 54s. We're still about 1.5 seconds away from that.
Yeah, so they're building and building and building, and it's not the case, as Jack Widders has gone quickest here, Reese, that you sit back and say, oh yeah, I've done 1 lap and I'm happy with it, and I can just pull it off to the side, take my toe and go back to the pits. For those, of course, who are sim-coded, that's absolutely what you have to do. But for those who are maybe looking at this series for the first time going, why are they all coming back to pits? It's simple, the no escape rule.
Yes, and that has been the case for a number of years in many of the top sim racing series in this part of the world, and many big sim racing series do the same thing. Obviously, the simulator does allow you to just pull over, hold down escape, and tow back to the garage, and that has the ability to save you time during a session. You can get back out a bit sooner, as car 11 going off there. That's not ideal there for Ryan Jones, off into the gravel. But in order to increase the realism and make drivers think a little harder about how to plan their runs in the session, you are not allowed to simply pull over and hit escape. You have to drive back to the pits under your own power and come to a stop in the pits before you escape back. That can be a problem if you have a crash that damages the car too much in qualifying, though. If you end up having to ask for a tow in qualifying, that's session over.
Ryan Jones, forever rowdy there, representing then a memorial to the late Carl Busch, who lost his life on last week, I believe it was, with all of the issues that he went through in the hospitalisation. A real shame to motorsport, and forever an icon to many in terms of what he represented in the world of NASCAR. Jack Widders then down to 3rd because both Damon Woods and Corey Lazarus have gone quicker, and so a 55.5 and a 55.9 have certainly made the difference. Now, we saw those times in the low 50, in the mid 54s as the fastest time that we saw, Reese, but I don't think we're going to hit quite that level because the track has evolved and developed as the session has moved from practice to qualifying. We're now on a 23-degree track temperature now, and it's only going to get hotter as this session goes. So getting a quick time now, I think, is of imperative importance as we sit with 8:52 in quali.
Yes, and by my timing, that's a maximum of about 5 laps that you'll be able to run before the timer hits 0. So, yeah, I think the track temp being a little warmer is going to help getting those tyres up to temperature a little bit quicker, but then you stand the chance of potentially overheating them if you're pushing too hard through the fast corners, and these cars don't respond well to tyres that have overheated. I remember I was talking to Scott Rankin earlier in the week, actually last week, as Dean Mackay absolutely 2 wheels it over the curbs, looking very quick on this lap. It'll be interesting to see if he can pull that off as Rattray White now goes to 2nd. Yeah, Scott was telling me about how goodness me, that's a big time from Damon Woods there. Dean Mackay across the line into 3rd. Essentially, what I'm going to say as these times come in is the rear tyres actually build a lot of the heat. It's almost impossible to get heat into the fronts, so the drivers are going to be really trying to rag it into these corners.
They absolutely are, and you would have seen in practice as well the brake bias then, which would have been set to 0% for Damon Woods as he was running about. Not because he was actually running a brake bias at 0%, Reese, but there are, even for us still, some factors out there on iRacing where if you're going and watching this as a spectator, say, in the session, there are a few tips of the trade where, you know, racing, you can't give everything away as a racing driver for competitive integrity, and iRacing basically hides on the dash what your brake bias settings are.
Yes, so it's all down to driver preference there, but it's also down to what the car demands. I think with these cooler track temperatures, you know, if we had a track temp of 30 degrees plus, then you'd be seeing the brake bias being run a little further back just to induce a little bit more oversteer into the corners. And these cooler track temperatures, the front end tends to have a bit more grip, as that's someone off, not entirely sure who that was.
that's Brock Gilchrist. I note as well that Corey Lazarus has had to tow then off of the circuit. So he's qualifying. He's done in the 0-4. He will not go any quicker than what he has managed on his laps. So that's going to be big. Jack Widders here is really trying to have a good go in the car. Jack Mechanic there, number 8. Hoping that this is going to be a lap time he'll be very happy about. He is a mechanic by trade out there in the paddocks of Australia, so he knows how it takes to set a car up. That's a 55.7. Welcome back to the front row.
Lovely stuff from Jack Widders, but still 0.4 of a second off what Damon Woods can manage at his maximum. It seems like there's no catching Damon at the moment. We'll see what Tom Bewley can do here as he starts another lap. 156.3 on that one, but he'll have the benefit of some slipstream from the cars ahead. I just reviewed what happened to Corey Lazarus, and it's unclear exactly what his issue was. As far as I can see, just pulled over to the side of the circuit and requested a tow from there. Potentially ran out of fuel.
McCarthy.
Yeah, not ideal at the chicane there for Stefan, but he can still get the pace back up. Let's see what the last 5 minutes of the session brings. We're looking for some improvements a bit further down. We haven't seen any lap times yet from Hugo Allen and Byron Pierce, and I'm expecting some big things from Hugo Allen, real world champion of the New Zealand Toyota 86 series. He now is the only driver not to set a time in qual, as Byron Pierce has just gone P4. That's what happened to McCartan. Too much curb and around he went.
Well, that was bouncing about like a pogo stick. There's no way of keeping yourself out of trouble there, as you're just waiting for contact patch after contact patch after contact patch. To keep that in a straight line, well, it would have defied belief being able to go through in that regard. Damon Woods absolutely flying here in qualifying, and knowing that he's just going to pull that over to the right-hand side, allow some drivers through, maybe pick up a bit more tow, and go for another laps attempt out there. Slightly cools the tyres by doing so, and looks to push as well. So Lazarus 3rd, Pierce up to 4th, Dean Mackay and Rick Kuznetsov 5th and 6th. There goes Zach Rattray-White up to 3rd on a 155.8, so he'll be very happy with that. And there's Eskandari, who is in 14th position. He's now looking to pick up the pace and say, what can he do? A 56.2 is his best time. So if you want to just take Damon Woods out of the equation here, it's getting very chunky in and around the 55.9s to about the 56.2s. That's a bit of smoke, and that is a very slow leaving the scene Damon Woods.
Yeah, a bit of a spin in turn 1 for our current provisional pole sitter, Stefan McCartan.
So he's human.
Yes, it seems so. We may need a little bit more data on that to make a conclusive conclusion. Let's look at the conclusion of the lap for Stefan McCartan, where he spun just a couple of laps ago, looking to get a bit further into the top 20 here. 1 minute 56.3 is his fastest lap, and it's going to be 156.3 again. It is an improvement, but it doesn't grant him any extra positions. And just talking about Eskandari for a second, that 1 minute 56.2 that he currently has to his name, that was, I think, still his first lap time, really, that he set in the session. So he's been waiting for an improvement for some time.
Yeah, and he might be waiting too long, because we're into these clutch moments, and we talk about it being a heat qualifying session, Reese, which means we're not talking about you've got 50 or 20 minutes and added time remaining. No, it's 20 minutes, and that's the hard cut. So we are right into the crunch time with laps. Harry Lawrence down the order here in 35th. He desperately needs to find an improvement out there from his times. A 2:01.7, he's gearing up. He needs this.
Oh, he certainly does. There's a lot of drivers further down the order who I would have expected to be up way higher. Marino Morella improves to 15th spot on that one. Sebastian Eskandari finally gets a time in the 155s, and it's good enough for a top 10. Let's see what Jack Widders can do at the end of this lap. Still chasing that 55.3 from Damon Woods, and it's going to be way off there for Widders. I think he backed off on that one. Jackson Rihanna makes an improvement, gets into 23rd spot, but we are still waiting on a representative lap time from Hugo Allen, the only car with no time to his name in the session.
Yep, he's won. Zach Hanlon has taken a tow out there. Miles Burgess travels a mile out there. He'd do very well for triple jump with that level of travel through that section. And Burgess now with a minute 35. I think that was his last attempt there, a 1:57. That's not going to get the job done. So we're in final lap territory at this point. Who's got anything left to put it back? Bo Albert down in 40th position. That's not what a driver of his caliber will be hoping for in the Knight Rider 06 at this moment, trying to push over for the stripe. So he will need something in the 56s or 55s he'll be happy with. That's a 56.8. He won't be happy with that. He'll be up a few places, but not many, up only to 37th. Out there as it goes, Jacob O'Reilly is down there in 38th. Here in the 222. Here's another one that absolutely desperately, by every single measure of metric, wants to jump up, but the lap won't count, so that won't get the job done. Jordan Malcolm now in 41st, hoping that this is going to be something nice, and it isn't. Josh Purwian is just behind, who does a 58.2, which will improve time but not place. Harry Lawrence won't get anything sorted, and now we go to Eskandari, who's down into pits with no improvement. Neither for Seth Brown, who is there just on the fringes of the top 10 in ninth. Neither Zach Rattray White, but with 18 seconds to go, does Damon Woods put a howitzer in? No, Sam Chapman over to the line right now, does another 56.7, so gets hundreds and thousands, but nothing more. But does Dean Mackay, with 5 seconds to go, steal it late? Does Dean Mackay find anything? A 55.849. That's enough for 7th. So, it was very close as far as they set, but qualifying in the books, and it was put in early in terms of the time that was necessary. Let's run ourselves through and see exactly where the grid is going to stack up in that regard. Damon Woods with a 1:55.342 is going to get the car on pole position ahead of the CJM Motorsport car of Jack Widders. They're in second. Byron Pierce and Tom Bewley will be on row 2 as Zach Rattray White will start in 5th, and 6th there belonging to Corey Lazarus. It's then Dean Mackay and Rick Kuznetsov on row 4 with Seth Brown 9th and Reese Wakefield rounding out your top 10 as Sebastian Eskandari will go from 11th and Antal Sabo then in 12th on a 1:56 clean. You've then got Hayden Veld and Zach Hanlin then 13th and 14th as Danny Davidson and Marino Morella are housing row 8. The top 18 rounded out by Sam Muir and Dylan Shepherd as 20 gets puts in the books with 19th belonging to Lewis Greathead and 20th to Stefan McCartane. You've then got Stuart Ellis in 21st and Kane Ryder in 22nd position as Jackson Raihana and Brock Gilchrist then will be at the 1 second mark just over, and then you start flicking down through the board where you see Lachlan Capel 25th and Ewan Baker then in 26th positions for Synergy Sim Racing. It's then Team Max Boost Campbell Adams there in 27th with Zach Kerr 28th. Scott Rankin will have to go from 29th alongside Miles Burgess then in 30th. So over the page again we go, where Pat Klein and Ryan Jones find themselves out there as Tice Hodge and Jet Saragi then have row 17. Sam Chapman sees Simon Mazzomo for 9.5 Simsport there in 36th. As Bo Albert and Jacob O'Reilly will then set themselves up with Harry Lawrence and Angus Lawford for Project 36. And then it's Jordan Malcolm and Josh Purwian making the 42. Lockhart Brownlee was the last driver to set a time, which leaves just Hugo Allen there along with the safety cars, the race directors and like, all looking around at their push and process. So this will take a perfect time to see Reece Gardner, who is down on the grid, to have a chat with some of our drivers.
Indeed. First, we are joined by Scott Rankin, starting out of P29 today. Scott, it looked like it was difficult to get the times down in that qualifying session for just about everyone.
Yeah, I think the big thing is, there's a number of areas around this racetrack where off tracks come into it. I know Lockhart Brownlee was really, really struggling. He was just in a bit of a hole. So look, I think that was a tricky qualifying session, but not for some of the reasons some people thought. But challenging session. I think the guys. The big thing was, you see how many guys pit halfway through the session. I don't think it worked out for any of them.
Yeah, exactly. There were quite a few drivers who decided to go for another run, but I think especially with the track temperatures being a bit cooler than expected in the qualifying session, you really needed that heat in the tires over the long run. Did you find that?
Yeah, it took about 4 laps to sort of get it in. I think the big thing was just nailing the chicane. Absolutely had to put that chicane at the back end of the lap together. So, yeah, tough lap. Love this racetrack, mate. Like when Porsche, to be perfectly honest, I've told this story a few times, but this is the first track I really fell in love with iRacing, and the first generation of this car. So for me was the 991, and I've always that's been my favorite car on the platform for a long, long time. So.
Yes, well, you are still starting in the top 30 for this one and looking to make your way forward in the sprint race. I heard from Jay before we went live. You are carrying a tribute on your car to one of your recently passed friends from the motocross world. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so I want to say a big shout out to the Mitchell family from the McLean area, which is actually where I'm living these days. Growing up, I was lucky enough to race alongside 2 of their kids, which is Jake and Luke Mitchell. Luke's actually gone on to race, I think it was Moto 3 or Moto Junior over at Silverstone, I think about somewhere in the late 2000s. So he did a really, really good job. But their mother was a lovely lady by the name of Sharon Mitchell. Her and Paul were always stewards, clerk of the courses for a lot of the stuff that we did growing up. And, we basically traveled with them everywhere. Sharon passed away in the course of her duties as a race secretary at my home club in Grafton Motocross Club across the weekend. And yeah, it takes a village to put on most sports events, and we are thoroughly privileged, and it doesn't go on without them. And she kept doing her duties till her last moment, regardless of the illnesses and stuff that she had on, because there was a job to do and there was a motocross track to run. So now she's setting up the race events up in the sky. So just wanted to say a big shout out to the Mitchell family and all they've done over the years.
Absolutely, and we say the same here in the commentary booth. Well, we'll go back to the race to come for the moment. 5 minutes until the green flag. I'm sure that the nerves are starting to creep in, Scott. That run into turn 1 is going to be incredibly important. Starting as far back as you are, you'll be having your eyes on stalks practically to see what's going on ahead of you.
I think the big thing is leave room. I guarantee I'm probably a little bit further up than I was expecting. So great job to the team putting a strong qualifying car together. Now we've got to hang on to some spots and get busy. So my goal is survive turn 1, lap run. It might be the long way round, leave as much room as I possibly can on the inside. And then that becomes the inside for turn 2 and turn 3. So look, survive, keep the car on in a good position. With P21 the championship by putting 4 results together. So that's the goal for tonight.
Excellent stuff. Well, wishing you the best of luck with that, Scott. And, well, we'll see you on the other side of turn 1 if that moment comes. Thanks very much for chatting to us.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate it. Have a good call.
Scott Rankin here, driving car number 59, starting from 29th place in this race. Was hoping to have a chat to Sebastian Eskandari, but apparently has been drawn away due to other commitments. But it is going to be interesting to see what Eskandari can do starting from out of 11th place. Not in the top 10 in the championship, but if he keeps up results like that and keeps them consistent, he could still be a factor, Sperry.
Oh, he absolutely could. And I think that's going to be critical here with 3:42 before we get ourselves into starting position. But there are drivers who are looking around who will see today as an opportunity. We've had to note, though, over the first 2 sprint races that we have seen this season, Reese, they have been caution-filled. And that poses a problem for everybody who wants to make places and gain places. Drivers have taken a look to the start of this season and they've been really aggressive, and clean green running has been a thing that I think only Tom Jones has been able to sing in his song, The Green, Green Grass of Home. So I think as they're looking around, what would you be looking at as a racing driver to avoid the pitfalls here of the Nurburgring off the start?
I would be looking to brake as early as possible into turn 1. Like, the drivers making their way into the first turn at the front will certainly be on the brakes late. But I think Sebastian Eskandari will be a little bit earlier on the brakes than others. We'll have a quick chat to him before we get going. Sebastian, good to see you again. Last time I saw you was in open wheelers. You're here in the Porsche now, and starting out of P11, it's a solid upper midfield start for you. What are you expecting from this?
Hi guys. I'm expecting a lot of chaos and a lot of passing, especially in turn 1. It'll just be about survival and try not to get taken out and turned around. So hopefully can do that and stay towards the back end of the top 10 and work my way through.
Much like Scott Rankin, you were feeling the effects of those long runs on the tyres and how much the lap times improved. The initial time that you said ended up standing for quite some time, but it looked like it was quite a packed track in qualifying. Did you think that you had further opportunities to improve?
Yeah, there were quite a few laps where I was on for quite a good one, but then off track in certain places and got slowdowns. But it was just on those last few laps, I was just trying to drive much calmer and not push too hard, and I ended up doing a decent lap, which was good enough for 11th. So I guess we'll sort of just take it and move forward.
Finally, standing start, of course, for these events. Do you think that the Porsche is difficult to get off the line, or are you well practiced in it?
I mean, I've done a fair bit of starts in them, especially in officials, but I mean, never get it right. So it's just about doing it as best as you can and try not to lose many spots.
Well, hopefully the traction is there for you, Sebastian. Best of luck in the race. Hopefully you get out of turn 1 okay, and we're talking to you towards the end.
Yeah, thank you.
Sebastian Eskandari in car 44, starting out of P11. 1 minute to go until the lights go up, Sperry. This is where the intensity starts to climb.
Yeah, you just get those nerves. They start to build. You know what the role and the understanding is going to be. These drivers with the 10-minute grid hold would have had their engines off in order to keep the engine temperatures down. And here today, they will know that while the track was cold to begin with, they've now moved into the afternoon. And the track from qualifying to the race, completely different right now. 39 degrees Celsius track temperature they now sit with here. Wind from the north in at 3 kilometers an hour, so it's not blowing anything over at this point. It's bright, it's sunny, and it is an opportunity to say, right, car dynamic is going to be very, very different. Watch out for those who want to be brave into turn 1. Rit Kuznetsov's got places to go and get from 8th position on the grid. I'd keep an eye out on him and what he's got to do. So let's get ourselves now set and into play here from this Nurburgring, because they know they've got 2 races here to set themselves up. 14 laps on the docket, and let's get ourselves ready for racing action here, because your Moza Racing Porsche Pro Invitational gets itself underway right now, and it's a very good start from the 3rd row there from the likes then of Zach Rattray-White, who will immediately move up to 4th. It's going to be a lunge down the inside into turn 1. Room having to be given, contact there between Rattray-White and Tom Bewley, and a spinners everywhere, left and right.
Rit Kuznetsov continuing to drop down the order, and it looks like Tice Hodge and Jet Saragi have come into trouble in turn 1. Jordan Malcolm and Reese Wakefield trading spots at the very back of the field, but it's drama-free for Damon Woods as he exits the arena section, side by side by side, all through the field. They want to try and get into single file running as soon as they can, because they'll just be costing each other time otherwise.
Wakefield all the way to the back, down into the Paget Racing curve they go along. Zach Hanlin, then we'll see that he's had a pretty decent start to the running there in the blue and orange out there as they set themselves about and go, yeah, that's the job that I want to be looking at here into this next section of corner. This long sweeping right for the BM Plus car there at the Goodyear hairpin, up through the Schumacher S, and now they head their way over to the Xiaomi corner, 90-degree left-hander, so very easily to go right as a spinner, left-hand side, that's Tom Bewley.
Oh, that's huge for Tom, right at the top of the hill at the Schumacher S. I didn't see if there was contact with that, but starting in P4, this is the worst possible start for Mr. Bewley, and I can confirm he did it all on his own. Too much curb hopping.
And it is lap 1 where you've got the tyres at their coldest. You've got to get them to an operating window. The grip simply isn't there mechanically, and Tom Bewley finds out the hard way. Look at how they swarm in the mid to late pack right now. They've got a very tough chicane where they've got a bottleneck in. There's 3 wide through it. Zach Kerr has had to abandon the chicane and work through, and still it's a gaggle and a spider's web.
Yeah, looks like Harry Lawrence was the car being turned around in the background there. Hugo Allen has also run into trouble at the same location. So lap 1 complete, and the field is looking mighty jumbled from where it was.
5 wide!
Oh,
5 wide! It's 5 wide into turn 1, back down into 4. Surely they don't all make it through. No, bang! Straight in the door. Oh my goodness, that's a massive hit in the door.
Seth Brown, I believe, the one on the outside there. Looked like they were steaming into the first corner, and Seth couldn't really do anything about that. Car 506, Byron Pierce is around, and that's from inside the top 10.
And he's going to have to wait for everybody to go on through here, because I think he understands he's not got a clean reverse to get himself back out and going again. So Byron Pierce is stuck out there, finally gets the chance to go around. Josh Perwin is stopped on the side of the road, so I think there's going to be a look to say he's lobbed in the gravel. Is that going to be enough? Yes, safety car deployed.
Oh, there we go. Only completing 1.5 laps before the safety car got deployed for the first time there. It is quite an active first couple of laps of this race, and we have got plenty of OG Gear replays to go through here, Sperry. Chaos all throughout the field. This was 3 wide here coming into the first turn. Car number 83 quite deep on the brakes, but the 144 getting turned around there in that contact with Seth Brown.
It's just a pinch. There's not really much more that you could do if you're Reese Wakefield. You're stuck in the wrong position. You're trying to get drive, and ultimately it creates so much of a pressure point because you're just looking for space out there with a field of 40 through 43. You know, you can turn around and say, look, the IQ might not be there. You can say that, but you put yourself in the position where you've got everybody basically lunging and attacking at every single corner, Reese. It's dog eat dog in this series.
Yeah, certainly is. Unfortunately, there was a lot of eating to be done for everyone behind Mr. Bewley there. Bit too much curb at the right-hand apex. That caused the front end to hop, and of course the weight transfer in this car, it's so sensitive to it, means that the back end just went on him at one of the highest speed points on this circuit. Safety car is bringing the field under control here. We got the Moza Porsche Cayman GT4 at the front of the field here. A little bit of an opportunity for drivers to take a little bit of a rest, but I think it'll be far from restful. They've got to focus on keeping those tyre temperatures up.
They do. I want to see what happened to Josh Perwin, which has caused this safety car to come out, because we're now currently running behind the safety car at the moment, which is currently being piloted by quote-unquote safety car 01 there, and that is a lovely looking safety car out there, has to be said at this point. But if we can get a look on the OG Gear replay and see what happened to Josh Perwin in the next few moments, Reese, I think it will tell you how tough lap 1 is, because the Schumacher S, I think, is the corner every sim racer takes for granted on this circuit.
Oh, certainly. With, of course, Tom Bewley finding out the hard way that it can really claim you. Not entirely certain what happened to Perwin in particular, but considering where he was stopped just on the exit, I think it might have been a problem that started through the left-hander. And in fact, it was just out of the left-hander, I've noticed, that, well, he had just made a pass, in fact. But the rear end, once it goes in these cars, it's incredibly hard to recover. You're going to see it here. Car 777 up ahead of him here, and the 777 in the hands of Hugo Allen, and well, that was the view. Rear end just went on him with a bit too tight an entry.
It snapped. Hugo Allen was very lucky after he was not allowed to qualify and set a lap, that Josh Perwin there didn't take him even further out of this one. He's actually back down in the pit, so obviously he's been clobbered with damage. Angus Lawford is also down in pit lane as well, so that's troubles. And we've had a drop for Jackson Raihana, so there's another driver who is out of the race then, with how that set themselves out. Safety car pulling away. This is second and third. Oh, and that's Byron Pierce. He lunged down the inside there of Jack Widders. Widders left him room, but Pierce couldn't get it woed up, and as such, that was the big drama that set through. So Damon Woods will have control on this restart then, as they will set. There is Byron Pierce all the way back now in 39th position, with it all to do, not just in this race, but the next one as well, because the way they're going to stack up in race 1 basically informs the field for race 2, with Marino Morella, who's +6, currently on the top 10 bubble as it stands through the chicane. How aggressive are we going to see this restart? No launch just yet here from Damon Woods. Will he wait for outside the final corner into this final Hyundai N-curve, or will he go in the middle and stamp the throttle down on the exit? I think he's looking for the chance to go as late as he possibly dares. He is going to stack them up a dream here, and there is overlap on this restart for Zach Rattray-White, which is not good. He waits right to the line to get this restart sorted. Zach is absolutely on it on that restart, and Jack Winners, I don't think could have done anything to protect himself there. What a launch!
Yeah, fantastic from Rattray-White, but there's going to be contact with them into turn one. They almost spun around, and almost Corey Lazarus getting the run into turn one. He's going to try and nab Widders on the way through turn two. Doesn't work. That off camber means the outside line is probably not where you want to be, but he's still going to try and find his way past.
Looking for it every which way you can, and this is going to be an aggressive start. There's a big bit of contact in the middle there. Hayden Veld gets a door full of Kuznetsov, and now they're side by side. Now as they go through, I'll correct myself, it was Eskandari, but now they try and figure themselves out. It's created a gap here for the top six, and everybody else right now, it survives, said the Prophet, as they go down to the Pageant Racing car. Spinner in the back, and there's going to be contact between two of the Gamma Flare OPR cars. Then have gone around. Who's that? On the left-hand side in trouble, it's Mark Burgess.
Yeah, Burgess with big trouble there at turns 5 and 6. Now down to the southern hairpin once again. We're trying to sort ourselves out here in the battle for P7. Eskandari making up a few positions as Zach Hanlon's going to go side by side on the way into the Schumacher S, battling with the number 43 there. And just sorting themselves out. Bit more temperature in the tyres this time around, and we should see those tyres stay at those temps for quite some time. It's still a pretty stinking hot track out there.
Very much is, and I can confirm that Sebastian Eskandari has a 15-second time penalty for contact with Reese Wakefield on the opening lap of the race. So he is going to be dinged with it. Hanlon has had an atrocious start to this one. Oh, there's going to be big troubles. The Logitech OPM cars, bang! There's massive drama in the back. It's an absolute junkyard back here.
Campbell Adams and Lachlan Capel falling down the order. Danny Davison as well. So that's a Logitech G OBDM car and 2 Max Boost cars that have had big problems here. That's huge damage for Lachlan Capel. Fortunately, happening right before pit lane, so he can at least get in there under his own power.
It's a massive accident there, and it was Kane Ryder who was stuck in the middle of it. Look at Lachlan Capel try and get that back to pits. David Coulthard's it as they go through. So look, trying to find a lane, and look at that, a 7-10 split of 2 Logitech G OPR cars. Logitech G Orbit Drop Bear cars that go the wrong way, and ultimately one ends up going spearing into the right, the other one goes spearing into the pack in front.
Yeah, that's really tough in these tight packs. You can find many casualties over the course of an incident. We're keeping our eyes peeled here on this battle now for P4. Eskandari with that 15-second penalty hanging over his head. If the race was to end right now, that would put Eskandari, God, looking to be outside the top 20 at the moment, so he's going to be keen for there to not be a safety car again over the course of the race, so he can actually try and build a gap that he can defend.
I think that's going to be critical here. It's all about who's finding places. We see it there. Antal Sabo is up 8. You've got Dylan Shepherd up 9. Eskandari has a 15-second time penalty, and he then looks and gets the move on Dean Mackay. Mackay's not done, though, here through Bilstein, and looks to try and get the drive off the exit. They're going to scrap to the Falkenbogen and all the way up the hill. Here comes the side-by-side. Absolutely mirror-to-mirror tips as they work through lap 5 of 14. Mackay trying to lean for it on the outside. He gets pushed out with nowhere to go. He gets a horrible run. Here comes Rick, and he's quick, and he gets the pass.
Oh, lovely stuff into the final corner, and could there be a cutback here from the Eclipse machine? We'll have to wait and see. Run down the start-finish straight then, fastest point of the circuit as Damon Woods is untouchable out in front. He leads by over 1.5 seconds, and that's a new fastest lap of a 56.5. Deep on the brakes now as Hayden Veld tries to make up that time on Dean Mackay, but not much that can be done.
Right, Harner's going to get a pit lane penalty for contact on lap 2, but ultimately he's way down after the disconnect and struggling with internet issues, so he's not going to be much of a factor. Damon Woods already 1.7 seconds away here from Zach Rattray-White and Jack Widders, so he's pretty much built that gap, and everyone else, I think it's hold on to your hats here. The group that sets itself apart here with Kuznetsov leading it here. Mackay, Veld, Hanlon, Morella, Shepard, McCartney and Lewis Greathead all want a place inside that top 10 for the invert.
That they do. It's such a huge battle for the top 10 we got going at the moment, and there's barely anything between the cars right now. In terms of lap times, it's looking to me like Marina Morella might be the one who's... Oh, there's contact there between Kuznetsov and Mackay at the front of the pack. They were bumping each other on the way into the Schumacher S. Very interested to see how they get out of that. Still on between Kuznetsov and Mackay. Both of them carrying a little bit of damage to their cars as well, so this is going to really close things up. Hayden Veld potentially has another chance to get to the front of this pack here.
Well, it's side-to-side contact between them. It was a pinch once, twice, not quite as nice, but Kuznetsov gets another look, and he's done it again. 1-2 bits of contact there, using the car to try and box out, and Mackay again loses out. And in fact, same thing's going to happen twice. Gets boxed out at the chicane. Now he looks to try and report the incident as Hayden Veld gets the freebie the same way the freebie was given to Rick Kuznetsov a lap prior.
Pit lane penalty for Jackson Rihanna for contact with Seth Brown there into turn 1. But now we're seeing a little bit more shuffling further back in the pack as well. I just noticed that Bo Albert is dropping like a stone outside the... Oh, yeah, very much off is Bo Albert.
There's a massive accident at the final corner. He has been together with Harry Lawrence, who I think was who was going through. Bo come off the circuit and Harry Lawrence nowhere to go. Bo then puts it with a lot of anger back around and onto speed again. Look at how much gravel he's put together off the circuit. We'll catch this on an OG Gear replay.
That we will, and I think we might have to go to another one for Hayden Veld, who's just been shuffled unceremoniously out of the way in the 7th place battle now. Yeah, Bo way off the track, but coming back onto it. Yeah, honestly, if you were the pursuing car in that situation, I wouldn't blame you for the contact, because there really was no way to tell that Bo was going to come on when he did.
No, there really wasn't, so that was tough. It's Dean Mackay as well for Hayden Veld, who's got into him, so that's created a lot of drama, and it now puts McCartan and Veld now together on circuit. So here's the look, turn 3, always the corner for the lungers, and he had a chance to back out of it there and he just couldn't, and then that forced another one of those of his teammates to get into the side of him. Hanlon ends up being the most unlucky in that, being pushed out and actually losing ground.
Yeah, not ideal, but the fight is still on behind. Mackay has skipped away after that little shuffle caused by the spin. At the moment, the 43 of Dylan Shepard leading the battle for what is now 9th, and Marino Morella still holding on to P10, but he has got Hanlon, Veld, McCartan and Greathead all pursuing him here. Looking a little bit further back here at the Max Boost cars pursuing this number 12 of Zach Kerr. A little bit further back here in the battle for 19th spot. Jet Saragi keeping himself nicely in 20th spot for now. Oh, certainly. Jet's made his way up from 34th, and he's going to make it up another position here. Great run up through the field.
Too much gravel there for Zach Kerr. That allows the inside, and thank you very much. He's going to have to hang him out here off the exit, and he's going to manage the play. So K-Rider wants in. Whoa, that was nearly contact there. Held together nicely, but here comes a look back now for turn 3. And trouble, 51.
McCartan
Turned around. That's going to be big issues out there to try and get that sorted for Stefan McCartan, the Kiwi.
Yeah, that's a bad spot to be stopped. You've got to wait for the entire field to come back past. So McCartan's going to get rolling here. We'll see what happened to him. 3 wide potentially here into turn 4. No, he backed out of it, but the spin ahead was what took him out.
Hanlon there, I think, is very lucky to still have a car that's in operating order. He just went sliding across and basically was the brakes out there for everybody else. It still has meant there is side by side as once more Zach Kerr gets the drive off of the exit and says, yeah, I'm going to get that launch and I'm going to be very happy about it then in the Vermilion machine. Damage on the front there, Saragi Ryder, Byron Pierce making his way through, gets in the grass and he can't find the line up to Chalmy Corner, so he's not going to see himself there. Lockhart Brownlee is plus 27.
incredible run up the field from Brownlee up to 16th place, just ahead of this fight. Keeping an eye on that 506, of Byron Pierce. Remember, Pierce started in third, but had his big issues on the first lap here. Let's see if he can make his way past Kane Ryder in the number 18, but Ryder has the inside line for the chicane. It's all about the exit, though. I've seen quite a few drivers today just not get the run, the drive out of that chicane. Really depends on how you ride the curb.
It very much does. Race control is going to have a very busy day. Stuart Ellis has got a 5-second time penalty for what happened on lap 1. We're already on lap 9 here of this race. We're still trying to sort out everything that happened on lap 1, and a lot's happened since.
Yeah, so much, and I think there's going to be quite a bit more to happen. We've still got 6 laps to go in this race. It's trying to skip away from the fight as Zach Kerr and Jet Saragi is Simon Mazzomo out of the final corner. That car looks slightly bent. That won't be ideal at all. But this train is absolutely ridiculous. Keep an eye on this behind Zach Kerr. You'll see him coming up here. There's Zach in the red and white machine. Then we've got the Max Boost teammates of Saragi and Ryder. Then Pierce, Hodge, Bewley, Baker, Rankin, Adams, Chapman, Muir, Pat Klein, Reese Wakefield and Seth Brown to round things off here. A massive amount of cars. 13 cars fighting for 18th.
We didn't start the fire. Well, you keep listing them off like that, they're all going to be there and they're going to be involved. So at the moment, this is a massive train on back, and you might think that this is for nothing, but every point's going to count, because this might be the difference between 10th or 15th in the championship, 15th or 20th, 20th or 30th. Damon Woods right now will be walking in with a bigger lead, but look at the points differences that you'll be seeing here. You'll see the likes of Antal Sabo move up to 4th in the standings the way it stands at the moment.
Yeah, Antal is quite a weapon in the Porsche Cup car. Be interesting to see what he can do from there. Change for position between Ewan Baker and Tice Hodge here in the middle of this fight. Baker from the outside into the chicane. Is he going to try and maintain the side-by-side? No, Tice just has a bit too much speed on the inside to get that done. And meanwhile, up ahead of them, it looks like Lockhart Brownlee is now dropping places. Oh, that's not ideal. There he is in the gravel trap.
Oh, he's had such an amazing run up the order. He's come together with Ryan Jones, who has got into the side there in the final corner, basically dumped him off the side as he's gone through, basically getting his inner rowdy out, as Zach Hanlon still dealing with Lewis Greathead out there for position, managing that well. There's a lovely great battle just behind this as well as we go to replay with Byron Pierce and Kane Ryder. But look at this, into the corner. I can't really put much fault on that there on Ryan Jones. I think Lockhart's pinched.
Yeah, he was very much alongside on the way into the corner there. Just racing incident potentially that race control is going to go from that, but we cannot expect anything. Oh dear, Kane Ryder, his car is looking worse every time we go to it. The front end just crumpled in ever more. And off camera, I noticed that Seth Brown had to serve a slowdown down the start-finish straight, then ended up getting into a big tangle in turn 1 with Danny Davison. So far from ideal run for the Vermilion car.
Far from ideal. And when we talked about that big group race, we talked about what's the difference between being 5th or 8th or 11th or 15th, or what's the difference between getting your top 20 invite back to next year or not, and the driver on the outside of that bubble coming into this championship just so happens to be the car that's on screen right now, Scott Rankin.
Yeah, this is going to be quite interesting indeed. Rankin trying to lead that fight for 25th place with Sam Chapman, Sam Muir, Reese Wakefield and Pat Klein all chasing him. Look a bit further up towards the front of the field. Dylan Shepherd now sitting in P10. Something has happened to him, but he is still in prime position for pole position for race 2.
Yeah, slowdown penalty for him through the Vidal chicanery has put him back down on board with Marino Morella. That's wide as well from Lewis Greathead as we go back to Scott Rankin. So Greathead ultimately now having to defend from the likes then of Stuart Ellis and co who are there. But it's busy as you get some of those Fury machines trying to really get themselves locked up into place. Some 9.5, some OPRs there. Klein sitting in line with Muir and Wakefield and Chapman and Hodge, and Scott Rankin just holding himself very accomplishedly there on the defence, holding it through, a driver who knows how to wrestle through positions. And out the race now is Hayden Veld by the looks of things here, unless he gets himself popped back in. I think he's had a drop as we watch Scott Rankin there working himself through, a lot calmer out there the way he's going about it than what you see from the driving style of what he has to do with a GT3.
Yeah, indeed. Rankin showing us exactly how much effort needs to be put into getting one of these things around the circuit. You saw how much he was panting and huffing and puffing, and you see the relaxation that he undergoes when he gets out of the corners. It's just the sigh of relief. Yes, I am out of the corner now. I'm happy with my exit, and I can get it done. Up front, Damon Woods looking a lot more calm in the Falcon Racing machine. He is still setting a sheer perfection at the front of this field. 156.4 on the last lap. He's running about half a second faster than most other people. That's a 56.3, only a couple of hundredths off the fastest lap. He's untouchable.
Well, at this moment in time, Reese, I don't know if you'd agree with me. I think he can pull it off to the side of the road, have a nap, and then go back again and look at it. It's Zach Rattray White, his nearest title challenger, directly behind him here. He looks a little bit more under pressure, I think, when you see that Jack Widders and Antal Sabo are both there, and they both want to make a bit of a something of it here late if they can chase the gap down. Difference on those last laps. Rattray White, 56.9, 56.8 from Jack Widders, 56.5 from Antal Sabo.
Very quick times from these chasing drivers, but Rattray White knows that there's only a few laps left, so he has plenty of chances to keep that up. A lot of gravel being thrown onto the circuit there from earlier incidents. That'll make the braking zone quite slippery into turn 6, but we'll see. The battles continue for 23rd. What I'm looking at coming out of the chicane, Tice Hodge is still trying to hold off Scott Rankin and Sam Chapman at the moment. Rankin's still got a lot of potential in this race for a good result. As we keep our eyes peeled on the various battles in this midfield, there's car 101 making its way out. Sam Chapman chasing the OBDM machine.
If he wants to move, he's going to have to do it down the inside here, but sometimes the best defence is a good offence here with 2.5 laps to go for these drivers. So they're setting themselves down, trying to think, Reese, about end game here. What do you think will the end game might be? Will it just be get to the front of that train or just one position up on that train? What do you think the end goal will be for certain drivers? As, for example, you've got Jet Saragi, then he will give up a place to his teammate Campbell Adams as Chapman trying the long way around and jamming. Bye-bye, Scott. Bye-bye.
Yeah, around he goes. Does he keep it out of the wall? He does. So he'll still be able to roll, but his fight to get into that top 25 is now over, and he'll be I don't think he'll be able to get back into the top 30 from here at all, considering how little is left in this race. My end game would be to try and reserve something for the final lap. Keep my eyes in my mirrors for people chasing me, but try to get eyes forward as much as possible. For Jack Widders and Antal Sabo, they're still trying to chase down Zach Rattray White, and I think Antal is the real chaser here. 56.9s for Rattray White and Widders on the last lap. Sabo still running a 56.7, so number 92 clearly with the pace here in the battle for the podium.
And here's something important as well to note. So, Reese, we understand that Sebastian Eskandari's got a 15-second penalty. That penalty will not affect his grid position for race 2.
No, actually, it won't. That's a very good point. So, Sebastian will still start in P6 for race 2 if he stays where he is, with the top 10 being inverted. A 5th place becomes a 6th place. But ultimately, he will be classified a lot further down. Looks to be around about 13th place, just behind Lewis Greathead and Stuart Ellis is where he'll officially be classified.
And I think he'll be really pleased at the fact that he'll not have to give up the positions then for this race 2, and he can still garner a good result from it here. Sabo again remaining resolute behind Jack Widders, but with a lap and a bit to go, I think you're starting to run out of time if you want to go and get this done. This has been a tough race, just the one safety car, but tempers have certainly flared through this field. They've gone out there all guns blazing, and ultimately this is a race of who's left rather than who's out there challenging. Final lap starts then here at this fifth race of the season, round 3 of the championship at the Nurburgring. Widders trying to shake Szabo off his tail. Szabo wants to get this pass done. He's deep. He's very deep in at turn 1. Can he get it slowed up? Oh, it gets into the side and pushes his way through. +9. Antal Szabo having a great race. Jack's not going to take that lying down. He's going to be nimble. He's going to be quick. He's going to try and jump past Szabo into turn 3. And he's not going to get there. Right up in to the rear there. So much so we could see the suspension on the camera there. So now they push over towards turn 5 and turn 6 here. Moving into the left and the Paget Racing curve that will follow immediately after here. And look at this. Widders with an angle. Gets down low to the inside. Szabo gives him all the room in the world. And Widders has his way. But they'll have to go and get this done at the Goodyear hairpin if they want to go and get this back. Now it's going to have to be to the outside trying if you want to get this done. Oh, Widders is going to hang him out and say, no, you're not going to get it like that. Antal Szabo here is finding he is going to have to be an elite wheeler to go and get this sorted. Now they climb out of the Schumacher S over to the Xiaomi corner, and this is going to be where Widders holds the defence. There wanted to be an up and under from Antal Szabo. He got pinned by being too close in the run that he needs. Out of Bilstein, the Falkenbogen, and then up to the Vino chicanery. It's going to be the last chance of solace then for this battle for the last spot on the podium. They will climb the hill, but Szabo looks too far back to go and deal anything of it. No such worries for Damon Woods. He will come round the final corner and he will say, absolutely ace drive. No one could touch him. Damon Woods takes the win. They're still scrapping hard for third. There's Rattray White in second, and Jack Widders will hold his ground.
Only just. Antal Szabo made a huge dive on him at the final corner, but it wasn't quite enough to get it done. Back to the battles a little further back here. Dylan Shepherd in car 43 holding on to P10. But across the line, they will come. And that's going to be pole position for OPR number 43. Zach Kerr leading that battle for 14th ahead of Gilchrist, Jones and Pierce. And then Campbell Adams, Kane Ryder, Ewan Baker just behind them. Jet Saragi taking P22 in the end ahead of Tice Hodge and Reese Wakefield. A lot of cars involved here in these packs in the midfield.
Oh, it was a scramble out there. Just cling on to what you've got. It looked like a Black Friday deal out there in the second half of this race. There is Simon Mazzomo, who will be one of the last cars over to the line. In fact, he'll be the last car out there. And at the final corner, it was Simon, be tender with your right foot, and he wasn't. And ultimately, that's what has really struggled with him today. Then down one spot as they set. Let's take a look then at results from race number 5 of the season and round 3 of this championship, race 1 tonight. Damon Woods, all conquering, all dominant, 6 seconds to the good over Zach Rattray White, with Jack Widders and Antal Szabo 3rd and 4th. Sebastian Eskandari and Corey Lazarus are 5th and 6th, ahead of Rick Kuznetsov and Dean Mackay. Your top 10 rounded out by Marina Morella. Dylan Shepherd will be on the pole for race 2 after starting this one from 18th. Zachary Hanlon ultimately becomes the bubble boy out there in 11th, with Lewis Greathead and Stuart Ellis behind. It then leads to Zach Kerr and Brock Gilchrist 14th and 15th. These drivers here from 13th to 16th started all outside the top 20, with Brock Gilchrist then 24th to 15th. Ryan Jones, a gain of 16. Biggest mover out there. Byron Pierce recovered well, as did Tom Bewley, with Campbell Adams and Kane Ryder making up your top 20. It then leads over the next page to Ewan Baker and Jet Saragi in 21st and 22nd, with Tice Hodge and Reese Wakefield there 40 seconds adrift. Sam Muir, Danny Davidson, Jordan Malcolm and Sam Chapman over to 28, with Seth Brown having a tough day at the office, as to for Pat Klein. 37 ultimately found the lead lap finish, with Jacob O'Reilly, Lockhart Brownlee dramatically dropping down the order, as did Harry Lawrence, Scott Rankin, Stefan McCartane, Miles Burgess and Simon Mazzomo. A drop for Hayden Veld and Jackson Raihana put their races to pay dirt, as was the troubles for Angus Lawford, Hugo Allen, Bo Albert, Lachlan Capel and Josh Perwian, all having a tough day at the office here today. But now a better chance then than any to say, right, let's have a chat with a very influential figure here at ASRG. Brenton O'Brien is here along with me right now. Brenton, good evening. What a crazy race that we have just had, and the level of aggression that we are seeing is absolutely perfect for what you've got to announce.
Well, these things seem to go all right. It's certainly entertaining when they're not behind the safety car. And how good was that last battle between Sabo and Witters? That was fantastic driving. That's as good as racing you'll see, and good racecraft on behalf of both of them. So, yeah, once these guys get to stretch their legs, it's actually decent racing. So, but no, that's not what I'm here for tonight. What I am here for is that at the end of the season, because the ASRG, the Australian Sim Racing Group, we're in our 5th year now. And what we do now is we run, as everyone knows, we've run a very successful V8 series. It's our inaugural Porsche series, but we also run a dirt series. So what the ASRG is trying to do, or what we are doing, we believe, is if anyone wants to see sim racing on a Wednesday night is going to be an ASRG night. We've done that pretty successfully so far. But what we want to try and do somehow is bring all of these 3 series together. And we made an announcement a couple of weeks ago on our pages, but I just wanted to make it known in the broadcast as well that on Friday, December the 11th, it's actually a really big night. We're going to have the ASRG Race of Champions, and also our Hall of Fame, our second Hall of Fame, where 3 more inductees will be inducted into the Sim Racing Hall of Fame. But what we wanted to try and do is to try and get, you know, the best dirt drivers, the best V8 drivers, and the best Porsche drivers to somehow integrate together for one very special night where there's decent prize money for the top 3 that finish. So the best thing that we could come up with is, you know, we're going to get the circuit guys and we're going to get the dirt guys to race against each other in circuit racing. We're going to take them to Interlagos in the late model stock car. We're going to get them racing all against each other there for 2 races, a 10 lapper and a 15 lapper. We're then going to get all the drivers are then going to go and hit the dirt track. We're going to be doing some speedway in the mini stock, and we're going to go to Kokomo there, and we're going to get the top 10. So we're going to have 15 drivers. We're going to have the top 5 from the Porsches. We're going to have the top 5 from the V8s. We're going to have the top 5 from the dirt. Are the 15 drivers that are going to qualify for this night. After the 2 events that we have in regards to the speedway and to the circuit, the top 10 are going to go through to the rallycross finals, where they'll be driving the at Charlotte. And it's going to be an absolute epic event. It's going to be the qualifying. There's going to be 5-lap heat races, a consolation race, and then there's a feature race with the 10 drivers in a 10-lap race will be competing for genuine prize money. So first prize on the night is going to be taken away $1,500 Australian dollars. Second is going to be $750, and third is going to be taken away $250 from this one night. So it's a really, really good night to be involved. SimSpeed are going to be covering it, so thanks very much to Jay. It's going to be on Speed Cafe. It's going to be a fantastic night, and it's only going to get bigger as we get along. I'll be promoting this as well, you know, for our supercar broadcast and also for our speedway broadcast. But for all those out there that, you know, thinking, you know, what's in it for these guys that win at the end of these series, the top 5 drivers or 5 representatives from each of the series have a chance to get some serious money on this great night on December the 11th. So we're really looking forward to that.
And we are as well, Brenton. Unfortunately, we're a little bit out of time as we get ready for the feature race, but what an incredible launch that's going to be in December. So it shows you sim racing's all year round with ASRG. Thank you so much there for joining us then in that regard, Reese. As we set now for this race 2, tempers have started to rise, but ultimately I think it was the drivers who are maybe the most calm that got the places they wanted to.
Yeah, I think so too. You mentioned Ryan Jones as being one of the biggest gainers in the field, up from 32nd to 16th. And he just did that by staying out of trouble. That's going to be foremost in the mind of just about everybody here at the start of this one, as the top 10 has been reversed. And goodness me, what a top 10 it's going to be. Big challenge for Damon Woods, Rattray White, and Jack Witter, starting from 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Well, let's run through that grid and how they're going to stack, because this one is going to be huge for Dylan Shepherd to try and work through. He'll be on the front with Marino Morella. Alongside then for company as Dean Mackay and Rick Kuznetsov will be on row number 2. Corey Lazarus will go from 5th with the Team Max Boost car of Sebastian Eskandari, hoping for cleaner pastures in 6th position, as Ansel Sharbo will go from 7th, a little easier for him, and Jack Widders then in 8th. Zach Rattray White starts 9th, and it is Damon Woods who will go from 10th, as he has done so on every reverse grid race so far this season. Zachary Hanlon is 11th with Lewis Greathead in 12th position, as Stuart Ellis and Zach Kerr will be on row 7. Brock Gilchrist and Ryan Jones will house row 8, as Byron Pierce is 17th, and Tom Bewley for Momentum Racing needs to gather some in 18th. Campbell Adams and Kane Ryder, 2 Max Boost cars together, make the top 20, as Ewan Baker and Jet Saragi will be on row 11. It will then be 23rd for Tice Hodge and 24th for Reese Wakefield, who had a spin in that race. Sam Muir and Danny Davidson then on 25th and 26th with Jordan Malcolm and Sam Chapman. Seth Brown 29th, and Pat Klein then making up your 30. Jacob O'Reilly and Lockhart Brownlee have the top 16 rows then all locked out, with Harry Lawrence and Scott Rankin then 33rd and 34th. It then leads to Stefan McCartain and Miles Burgess, who are 35th and 36th, with Simon Mazzomo 37th, and then those who've got a lot of work to do: Hayden Bell, Jackson Raihana, Angus Lawford, Hugo Allen, Bo Albert there for the Cheats Esports Club there in 42nd. Lachlan Capel and Josh Perwian making the 44 starters then for racing action here today. A little weather update then for everyone. Track has cooled slightly. We are, though, adding 6 extra laps onto it. And so with that, a little accordion effect at the front, Reese, that's going to create a little bit of drama.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the drivers shouldn't have to worry too much about managing the tyre temperatures for this one, but a longer race distance does mean that there's a bit more energy being put into those tyres anyway. So I think the concertina effect is going to be full on in everyone's minds on the way into turn 1. We did see plenty of drama in the opening turns of race 1, but the pressure was, I think, a little bit higher there. Now we're seeing what I'm hoping is going to be a more orderly start for race 2, but I've been surprised before, and knowing this series, we've seen plenty of chaos already, so probably wouldn't be too impertinent to expect a bit more.
No, I think that you'd be a safe bet to see that there would be a little bit of drama out there here in the racing, but they now get themselves set up and ready, because they're 5 seconds away from the lights now getting themselves on. We're going to get ourselves set then and ready. Shepherd on the left-hand side. On the inside, the dirty side of the circuit is Marino Morella. 20 laps here in race 2. Who dares be the most aggressive out there? Green flag in the air, and we are underway. It looked like someone got a little bit of a launch there that might have been a little too quick. How aggressive do you want to be on the defence there, Dylan, as you work into turn 1? Trying to work 1-2 for the teammates here as they work on in. A lovely sweep around the outside by Dean Mackay, who's going to look to try and pick the pocket on Marino Morella as he works on through. Everybody now trying to just tiptoe their way about towards turn 3, but 1-2, perfect start.
Byron Pierce and Corey Lazarus with black flags to their name for jump starts. So not ideal for those two, who were looking very quick here today. It's a getaway from Dylan Shepherd and Dean Mackay, though. Those One Performance Racing machines leading the way, as Eskandari's made his way up to 3rd, almost off the track for the Vermilion Fury cars behind. Seeing some gainers further back in the field. Oh my God, that's huge.
With Antal Sharbo, who was trying to hold his ground, and there for Damon Woods. He's now going to have to do more work. Tom Bewley's gone through, Lewis Greathead has gone through, and they've had great starts out there. Woods loses another one. That's Zach Kerr, who goes on by. Woods now down to 12th. That's not what he wanted off of the start. Has to lift off slightly into the Schumacher S. That'll bring Zach Hanlon into play then, as he looks to try and find his way to get through. Oh, a disaster start for the championship leader, side by side for second. Now it's going to be as well, because Eskandari is on the move. He gets it done, and Mackay immediately to race control.
Splits the teammates there. Might have been a little bit of biff and barge on the way through there for Eskandari. That brings Marino Morella back into the fight for the podium. But have a look at the charge there from Rick Kuznetsov. He's trying his best to stay in touch with our top four. And the exit for Eskandari out of the chicane. What a launch! He's going to have a go with the lead into the final corner, and he's going to get it done on Shepard.
Yeah, Dylan Shepard, nothing he can do. And into the pits comes Corey Lazarus and Byron Pierce there for their troubles. And behind in the background, it's Zach Kerr who's off the road and pushed off then by Tom Bewley. So they're going to have themselves a little bit of a moment between each other. Still, they fight into turn one here for the leaders. And then for fourth place as well, they go three wide as they work through. So Rattray White watches Dean Mackay and Rick Kuznetsov.
Oh, firing it up the inside there was Zach trying his best now to get further onto the podium side by side with Kuznetsov into turn four. Kuznetsov shuffled wide, but he's going to try and take the position back there, and it looks like there might have been a bit of contact between them as well, but it happened slightly off camera, so I'm not entirely certain. Look at the darting around there from Jack Widdis. He's trying to move a bit further forward in the top 10. Morella dropping some spots there now to the back of the pack. And if you want a read on who's the biggest gainer in the field, it's Stefan McCartan, 24th place, up 11 spots. Look at how far behind Damon Woods is, though. He's back up to 9th, which is good, and he's got some clear air ahead of him, but that's quite the gap to make up.
He's got work to do, but he knows clean air is his best friend as they fight to the Goodyear hairpin on the outside of this mega pack that sets right now. There was Zach Kerr with Ewan Baker. They're going to scrap. This was how the moves all started to form themselves about. So Eskandari pushed out wide, looks for the run back through at Bilstein, and then he just leans it out and says, I'm going to go through. Nothing wrong with that. Play on. There's gravel kick up back there over at the Schumacher S as they've worked on through. But this group stands all the way behind one. And Bo Albert in trouble. They're all behind Lewis Greathead.
Yeah, and look, okay, that looks like Josh Perween that has gone off as well. Perween, my apologies. Yeah, Albert, the left rear of his car was caved in. That looked like a pretty heavy set of contact. Albert is still rolling, but look at the way he's crabbing. Hopefully he'll be able to make it back to the pits under his own power. Otherwise, we might see yet another safety car.
Yeah, it's Miles Burgess who's got into him. He's caught his side, and it's a massive hit for two drivers on two incidents then as they work through. Woods with the fastest lap check mark next to his name as Morella now looking to try and get his focus done, but he's seen a place go there. That's Damon Woods who's gone sneaky on through. Behind that though, Hanley trying to find a way through. Tom Bewley, remember, he's had to fight back from a spin on the opening lap of race one to get back to this position. Speaking of spins, hi Seth.
Yeah, that's not ideal for Seth Brown. I mean, the form that he's had today has been really good in qualifying, but in the race it seems that he's either been struggling for consistency or been on the wrong side of incidents. And considering the exclamations from our producer in the background, I think it might be the latter.
Yeah, let's have a look over on the OG Gear replay here, because Bo, I think, is going to have a very hefty hit. Miles Burgess tries to get the run on the outside of the Schumacher S. He picks it up and he gets a tag, and ultimately Bo's got to try and hold it straight back across the road. Oh, it's horrible. And then Perwin has his own issue in the back.
Yeah, it looked like at both ends of that pack there were separate incidents, but that's what happens at those high-speed parts of the circuit.
Tice Hodge, there he is, trying to limp his way up through the Schumacher S. He's gone around now, and he's had a turn on the rejoining Lockhart Brownlee.
Oh dear, Brownlee. Oh, the engine's gone for Lockhart. I think that's going to be another safety car, Sperry.
It's going to have to. It's the same place as what we saw in race one. He's had a horrible time. He's just got into the side of Sam Chapman, and basically the loaded nature of that Porsche has gone around, and so I think this is the bridge that many needed on a divide. And critically, Campbell Adams wants to move right now, and Ryan Jones just before we get call or confirmation of a safety car, so keep an eye on it here. Lockie Capel in a big scrap now side by side. Whoa, he just pushes his way through.
Oh, and a big dive up the inside there from one of the Synergy guys. I think that might have been Ewan Baker that made that move, but we'll keep our eyes peeled on...
Oh, look at Damon!
Oh, goodness. Yeah, Damon Woods. He's actually right alongside Jack Widdis right now. He's made his way up to 7th spot. He is right in the fight for the top 10 here, but he gets shuffled wide, and there's further contact with Antal Sabo.
Well, he was so aggressive through turn 1, forced his lane off the exit and took 1 and nearly got 2 for his troubles. He fends off Antal Sabo. He doesn't have any worry about that. But Eskandari leads, Shepard second, Mackay currently third.
Damon Woods, one of the best sports car drivers from our part of the world. He's raced on the world stage.
Safety car.
IMSA Esports Championship, but he is going to have to put that talent to the side for now and focus on going slowly, keeping that temperature in the tyres. Safety car out for Lockhart Brownlee. We'll see what happened to him here. Contact with car 185 and then getting sent off in a big way in the Schumacher S. Oh, dearie me. Oh, there was further contact with the other Vermilion car that sent him off.
Thanks a million, and engines in the back, Reese, which means any rear contact into the barriers is a death knell.
Yes, the Porsche 911 famously with the engine slung over the rear axle. So you need to be careful of rear-end contact in this car. Unfortunately, Lockhart came off at such high speed that he couldn't arrest that speed before he got into the wall. So he's going to be out for now. But look at the weaving from everybody as they try to keep those tyres up to temperature, up to pressure. The safety car should pick them up shortly.
It should. And now this is going to be a chance for everyone to go on through and get themselves some heat into the tyres and work on forward with what they've got. I think we've got a little bit of exclamation for our producer, Jay Kennedy, on how wow this move is. So look at them. Zach Rattray-White dives it up the inside. Widders nowhere. Sabo nowhere. Look at the run here from Damon Woods. Perfect drive up the hill towards turn 2. And he says absolutely magnificent in terms of the way that he's got to try and run it around. He tries to run around the outside of Jack Widders. Can't quite get there. Sabo gets back into the side and finds himself into play as he looks to try and work on forward. So that just shows you how hard he has had to work in terms of looking at putting this one together on the rushes around into this section. In fact, we will get this chance under this safety car period, Reese, to have a little bit of a chat with Damon Woods.
Yes, indeed we will. Joins us now. Welcome, Damon. Starting out of P10 for this one. You're already up a few spots now, but it's looking like the racing is a bit hard to execute from here.
I mean, we ended up back in P13 after getting shipped off the road outside of turn 6, so that made life pretty difficult, but yeah, I know we got the car pace and we'll try and make our way back forward.
Much higher track temperature for this second race as well. Do you think that's a benefit with how long it takes the tyres to get up to temp?
I mean, the track temp did drop from before, so I think, it's going to be a little bit harder to get up the tyres, but it should help us in the long run. We know we've got a fast car on tyres. It's going to be about car positioning and making the right decision at the right time, I think.
Well, and speaking of the right decision, where do you think the best passing opportunity is at this place? You had a great run out of turn 1 that we were just checking out on the replay, but elsewhere on the circuit, there's plenty of places to get by. What are you gunning for?
Look, I don't want to give too much away, but I think there's definitely outbraking zones are going to be the key to gaining spots here, and making sure that we execute the move cleanly so we don't get shipped off the road trying to go 2x2 through switchback sections.
All right, well, we'll let you focus on prepping for this restart, Damon. Still likely to get another lap in under safety car, but wishing you the best of luck to come.
Cheers, boys.
Well, safety car still has its lights flashing. We'll see how this restart goes, Sperry.
Certainly will. Porsche 718 Clubman GT4 being used and implemented here as a safety car, and using the light flash as the way that the lights are still on, a way to get the field all up. Right, perfect time to talk about who's made moves. Eskandari is +5, +4 in this one for Zach Rattray-White. He's had a very good launch off of this one. Bewley is up 8, Campbell Adams is up 6, and so 2 up 6 is Jet Saragi up to 16th. There's been some big movers. The biggest of the lot, though, Stefan McCartan, +16.
Magnificent run up for McCartan into the top 20 now, and looking to gain even further. If I look back to those initial results from qualifying, in fact, Stefan is now 1 up from his qualifying position for race 1. It took him a while to get there, but he has managed to do it.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job in terms of, right, okay, you're going to have to hold yourself. You're going to have to be patient. and you're going to have to do well. The fact that Dylan Shepherd's only lost one, I think he's been quite calm with the way he's needed to do this in this one. And who's that in the back? Is that Zach Rattray-White going from one side of the circuit to the other on a weave? That is aggressive.
Super aggressive. They got to be careful about how long they keep the weave going. In fact, Rattray-White and whoever's driving car 04 at the moment, they both got black and white flags from race control in race 1 for weaving on the restart. So they do have to be careful of that. Have a look at that. He's cranking it.
Yeah, I think as we go, this is a dyno test for that Asher Racing steering wheel.
Certainly is. We'll see how it holds up, especially compared to Moza hardware. We'll keep our eyes peeled on the safety car here. Lights off. Well, they were off for a period, but I would expect the restart to happen at the end of this lap. Here are our live points, Sperry, and well, we still got Damon Woods up the front at the moment, but Rattray-White keeping himself in the top 5 will keep himself in P2 solidly, and Antal Sabo has put his car in the right place as well.
He certainly has. Your top 20 currently rounded out by Zach Hanlon, who has had a wonderful run out there today. So he'll be happy. He's gained 11 spots. Tom Bewley up 11. Eskandari plus 18. But of course, that doesn't include the penalty. Dylan Shepherd as well. 14 spots gained in the championship. He's breathing on the top 10 here of Brock Gilchrist.
Yes, but keep in mind, that is what the championship standings would be if the race were to end now. We've still got 14 laps left to run once the safety car comes in, and plenty can happen in that time, especially around a track like this where the lap is nearly 2 minutes long.
Yeah, so 2 minutes then in terms of how they set. They're doing, in terms of times under safety car, 3.5. is what they're managing. And Eskandari, you can't drive through this safety car out there, as that will be very tough to deal with here. But ultimately, the call is given now for the safety car to return to pit lane. So Eskandari will now have the control of the field. So as far as that all set, I would be taking a look at this and going, okay, I would love to be in a place where I would like to get a good launch, and with how early that GT4 is going, Reese, if I was Eskandari, I'd probably pin it out the Falcon Bogan.
Yeah, well, the issue is though the specific restart zone. You know, it's from the apex of the final corner, in fact, all the way to the start finish line. So the drivers do need to take care of that. Where the drivers can't overlap with other cars is prior to the apex of the final corner, but apparently you can go pretty much any time before that if you so desire. Let's see what Eskandari does. He's still trundling along here at the front of the field. Potentially the exit of the NGK chicane is going to be where he makes his way.
Eskandari then holding himself steady, knowing he doesn't have to do anything too untoward on this restart. He's got a couple of those OPR cars waiting behind them. Gamma Flash, look at a launch though. He has absolutely pinned that foot down to the floor, and he has launched it clear there. Dylan Shepherd was asleep at the wheel by comparison as we get the restart sorted, and it has really put gaps through this pack as we get ourselves back underway. A few drivers looking to wait to get tyre temperature. Jack Widders is one of them, looking to try and get something here into turn 1 as they'll dive down in on the brakes. Look to get it in. Widders has won it, and they're all going to have to try and avoid.
Oh dear, that was contact with Damon Woods. It looked like Widders was actually in the middle of a slide there. He was trying to get up the inside of Zach Rattray-White, but contact was made, and I think Damon Woods just finished the job.
Yeah, Damon Woods had nowhere to go. He had to jam on the binders. Now he's in a plethora of 9.5 machines together. Sam Muir there with Pat Klein, with Simon Mazzomo there on the back of it there. That's not where Jack Widders wanted to be off this restart. You could tell he was trying to get temperature in, and that's the reason why. Gets on the brakes into turn 1, Reese, and he slightly overcooks it, has to jam on the brakes more, and Damon just has to give him a friendly tap around to say, look, you're my turnstile.
Yeah, it's hard when you're trying to get temperature into the tyres there. He got on the brakes just too late, didn't he? There's still yet more contact to be made all the way through this field. Seeing Jordan Malcolm falling down the order at the very back, there's been some kind of coming together there. But now, Damon Woods has a little bit more clear air again. Now, the number 77 of Marino Morella, he has Antal Sabo and Zach Hanlon trying to make up spots, and Stuart Ellis, Campbell Adams, Tom Bewley and Ryan Jones are keen to chase.
Hanlon's got a really nice run. I think we're about to see an OG Gear replay as they start battling here in the bottom right corner of your screen. This is down the hill. That's a huge slide. And there goes the 89 flying off the road. Not much there that the player on Sim Gear car can do. Oh, that's so much curb being taken there by Antal Sabo, but he wants that massive influx of grip as he comes off of it. Suddenly, train of 7.
Yeah, that run through the chicane for Sabo really put paid to the pace for everybody behind him. It's amazing how much these cars bounce when they come off it. Oh, yes.
That's not a great place for him to be stopped. This might be another safety car that's going to have to come out for him. He's had a big one over the top of the Schumacher S.
Same place where Lockhart Brownlee had his problem, but at least Rankin's been able to make it a little bit further up the track, but that car is clearly going nowhere. Adams and Hanlon are around, so is Kane Ryder and Stefan McCartan as well. There's been something huge going on at turn 2.
Safety cars deployed, and I think it started here with a bit of 3 wide behind. It was, I believe, Tom Bewley who was sticking his nose into a gap that just chased the pavement, and ultimately Hanlon's gone around and more so. It's now throwing a safety car out, and this is going to be a nightmare for race control to try and deal with, to work out who needs to be where when safety car was called.
This is going to be a bit difficult to sort out, so this is not the incident that caused the safety car. It was 4 wide here. Keep an eye on Zach Hanlon and Campbell Adams. Hanlon in the blue and orange car gets turned by Tom Bewley, and it looks like Campbell Adams just couldn't really do much about that himself. He turned across, and as Rattray White was spinning, rear end of his car made contact with Campbell Adams. So really there was nothing Campbell could do there.
No, he's a bystander on the outside, and that makes his life really tough. This is Rankin. I think it's on his own here that he's done this. 59 up through the Schumacher S, just takes a little too much, catches a tag slapper, and he is destined for the barriers there. Catches the hit side on, more contacts he goes through, but he's damaged the suspension and he can't drive it away.
That's really harsh there for Scott Rankin. Really, it's about how the car comes off the curb. That's the big thing around a circuit like this. I mean, we saw it with Antal Sabo some moments ago at the chicane, and we saw it with Rankin there at the Schumacher S. You got to be super careful with how the weight transfers coming off the high curbs that really characterize this circuit.
It's a very, very tough run sometimes out there as you look to go through. There's Jacob O'Reilly. He's in 25th position right now, and he'll be looking at this going, well, how am I sat back here in 25th and only +6 after all of that?
Yeah, I don't know, Jacob O'Reilly, he's still got plenty of work to do after this safety car ends. But still, you know, staying out of trouble is going to be a big part of success here today. And O'Reilly down in 25th at the moment. He's got Campbell Adams, Zach Hanlon just ahead of him. We've just received news from Brenton in the background that this is only going to be a very short safety car, only 1 lap. So we'll be getting back to racing action very shortly.
Yeah, so with it being a 1-lap safety car, so quick after the other, they're keen to get the laps all sorted because of the way that the safety car also hit. It was a very early call for a safety car as well, Reece. So by that measure of fact, they've effectively had 2 full laps as they are going to be looking around. Tom Bewley's going to get 5 seconds worth of penalty. Is this Oi! That's not going to be good for the Project 36 car. That was very close.
Yeah, Kane Ryder recovering from the incident there that he had with Stefan McCartan. Actually happened around the same time as the big incident that took out Hanlon and Campbell Adams. So that might be something that race control looks at. You've got to be careful, of course, how you rejoin the circuit. You need to be aware of other cars coming up on you. But that'll be put to the back of the mind for the drivers at the front of the field for the moment. Safety car will be coming in at the end of this lap, and, well, Eskandari and Dylan Shepherd, they are really keen to keep the temperature in these tyres. I don't think I've seen these cars on the ragged edge of grip more times in 1 lap than I have under this safety car.
Well, Eskandari had a lovely restart. Dylan Shepherd wasn't alert to it. on that last one that's gone through. Bewley's got 5 seconds. Kuznetsov, who sits in 4th, has 5 seconds here, and we'll be hoping that there are no safety cars between now and the end of this race here. We're about to reach lap 10 here of 20, which means 11 laps to go here at the Nurburgring, and it's all about making the moves and getting yourself up there with Rattray White and Damon Woods 5th and 6th. I think they'll be looking at this going, what am I going to get out of it here? How easily am I going to get these passes sorted and done? And where is the big move going to find itself? So with Eskandari in full control at the front, we saw him go beautifully off of the chicane, and I think Dylan Shepherd's going to have to be alert to it. Pit lane penalty for Miles Burgess as well for the incident with Bo Albert that threw the first safety car out into control. Oh, and again he's pinned it down in on the chicane. Oh, what a wonderful restart there from Sebastian Eskandari. He's just too good at the way he gets it done. But the group behind was wise to it, and they've got a much better launch than we saw there on that last restart.
Yeah, pretty good there. Eskandari across the line, leading by half a second on Dylan Shepherd, who's putting some space between himself and his teammate Dean Mackay. Almost a move to the inside there for Rattray White as he tries to work his way around Kuznetsov on the outside, but that's not going to work. Shuffled wide on the exit with the drop in elevation right at the apex there. Woods side by side with Rattray White now, taking advantage of all of that, but he's stuck on the outside, coming into these left-handers. The opposite place of where you want to be.
Gets contact from Antal Sabo behind, who nips at him like a Yorkshire Terrier. You got to be very careful about this right now. Antal Sabo's there, and he wants in and he wants places as they work themselves to turn 5 and down to the Padgett Racing curve here at 6. So ultimately, they'll stay as they are for the moment, but they'll also sit back and realise that there is going to be a lot of work to do in the second half of this race. So there are drivers making moves like Hayden Veld, for example. He's having a good climb up through the order, but critically, as far as this one says here in this race, they now know, settle down, find momentum, and that momentum is those getting away. Hayden Veld is 20 places to the good.
Excellent job from Hayden, and also seeing Jackson Rihanna after his problems in race 1 with his internet connection up to 27th place, up 12 spots. As it looks like we have another further penalty coming in as well for Miles Burgess, and also for Danny Davison. Contact with Seth Brown back on lap 3 for Davison. So race control has obviously had a lot of work to do. They've been working through that list this whole time. Looking back from Zach Kerr for the moment. That's Jet Saragi right behind him. One of the drivers filling in this round due to absences. And, well, Jet has had a pretty good run of things today. 8 places up here in race 2.
In comes Danny Davidson as Jet right now in 13th, was up as high as 12th. He's lost one on the restart, so he'll have some work to do to go and gain that place back and say, hey, look, I'm not done with this. I've got to get everything I can out of this result. Here comes Ewan Baker looking to the inside. Troubles then at the back. That's a big spin for Tice Hodge, who's been in the wars today.
Yeah, it's been a rough one for Tice. His teammate at Vermilion, Lewis Greathead, though, he's going to come under pressure himself, and that's going to be Reese Wakefield taking advantage. Rick Kuznetsov is around at turn 4, and it looks like he might have had some assistance there.
It would have been a light tap, but he was going around anyway. There in front of Zach Rattray White, so no contact for Rick. He's just dropped it of his own accord, and with the 5-second penalty he's got, cardinal in terms of the sin committed there. So he will really not be happy into turn 3. We talk about it being a slippy surface, and he's just turned it in too much.
Yeah, rear end went, brake bias maybe a bit too far to the rear. Either that or the car balance was just off.
Oh, Veld!
Oh dear. Well, he was the biggest gainer. I don't think he will be now.
He's been got into the side there. I don't know whether that was Hanlon or whether it was Brock Gilchrist, and they're still scrapping up the exit. It was Brock Gilchrist who got into him, and ultimately now, look at this, the Chalmy corner. Gilchrist on the inside, it's Campbell Adams on the outside, Muir in the middle of it, with Chapman, O'Reilly, Veld, Capel, Raihana, all there, all in, and this is the Goodyear hairpin for you. How tough it is. So Withers gets a sniff in. Gilchrist says, my opportunity. Door slammed shut, buddy.
Yeah, Hayden Veld was trying to stay on the inside there, but unfortunately, door opened just enough for another car to squeeze through. Now Veld is back in 23rd spot, which is still 15 higher than where he started, and he should still be joint highest gainer in the field with Jackson Rayana. So we'll see what more can be done there. Josh Purwian, unfortunately, falling down the order now. One of many cars that have had trouble off this restart. Simon Mizomo, I saw going around at the back of the field earlier, but he's just gained a few of those places back due to issues for others.
Yep, so making good places. Now Campbell Adams side by side. Brock Gilchrist holds on the place and says, I'm a dependable set of hands out there behind the stumps. He'll be looking around and saying, right, I'm going to try and hold this again. O'Reilly there in 22nd. There's another go at it then from the likes then. Gilchrist still having to fight this one hard, but Adams works it on the outside, forces his angle through and says, look, I'm going to make this room whether you like it or not. Lovely pass.
Yeah, side-by-side contact. These cars are very sensitive to that, so lucky for them to get away with that. But Campbell Adams is quite successful in both open wheelers and sports cars, so he has the experience and the confidence needed to pull off moves like that. Lachlan Capel in 24th spot. He is just behind O'Reilly, Chapman, Muir, Gilchrist and Adams, still trying to work his way up a little further in this pack.
Yeah, a little bit further will do quite a lot more, so Lachlan Capel will know he's got a lot to do off the Schumacher S, and he's sat with a whole slew of cars that he would want to go, I want this one, I want that one, I want that one. He's very much trying to say, I want all of this, like he's picking up dresses in The Devil Wears Prada too.
Absolutely. Got to be a bit picky about what dresses you pick and what positions you try to take and when. 9 laps to go at the front of the field, so time is starting to run out. Capel's going to make some gains there as Kane Ryder becomes the next driver to receive a drive-through penalty from race control for turning Stefan McCartan around.
Yeah, no shocks on that one as they sort it out side by side. Then as they work on in towards the final corner, the Hyundai N-Curve out there, and on the exit they'll be side by side. Now look at Dean Mackay under pressure here from Zach Rattray-White. This is for the podium out there, and Zach needs places here to jump over the top. Remember here in these 100-kilometre distances, Reece, you double the points on, so even though that it was 1 and 2 out there for the likes, say, of Damon Woods and Zach Rattray-White, if Zach gets a place over Dean Mackay, he's taking more points out of tonight than what Damon Woods will do.
Oh, Mackay is off, and that might be the chance the Rattray-White needs. Woods goes wide in response, and that's going to bring Antel Sabo back into the fight. This is really tough to work out. More space between the cars now. Mackay's going to maintain the defensive line. Rattray-White lunging into the corner. Slight contact at the apex. It's on here, and it's all allowing Eskandari and Shepherd to skip away.
Yeah, and so if you can look and run away, if you can find the chance to say, look, I'm going to get to this next stage, I'm going to jump these places, that's key. He's not bothered. There is Damon Woods. He's got a very calm head at the moment, not showing any emotion, just getting on with the job right now behind Zach Rattray-White, exactly how he did last time out at Spa. Widders then through on Lewis Greathead. That'll be another change for position, but they'll climb the Falcon Bogan up to the next chicane, and at least right now I think there's going to be a bit of calm, but I think this is perfect if you want to talk about Dylan Shepherd's race. He's just been given license to hold with Eskandari, but a slowdown is going to put pay dirt to all of it.
Oh no, too much curb at the chicane, and so Dylan Shepherd falls back to what's going to turn out to be, I think, 7th place if Tom Bewley can get past him down the straight here. A little bit of side draft would help, and the inside line for turn 1 for Bewley. Let's see if he gets it done here. Bit later on the brakes, leaves Shepherd, probably maybe not enough room at turn in there, but fortunately Shepherd manages to hold on to it. So I think the podium may be out of contention for Shepherd, but he's going to try and fight Bewley for all it's worth.
Yeah, long way around here. Dylan Shepherd is not going to say no, but Tom Bewley might just say yes. He's got the inside at turn 4. Oh, masterful. Covers it off, but he goes a mile wide there on the exit. Shepherd's not happy with it. He'll go to the outside now as contacts race control while going side by side into the next right and gets the place. Are you mad, Dylan Shepherd? My oh my.
Very well done indeed. Shepard, a supremely capable driver, one of the quickest out there in a Porsche. So we'll see what more he can do to keep Tom Bewley behind. All it takes is one mistake to set you off your rhythm, and you really stand quite a big chance of falling down further. But Shepard's done a good job to recover from that. He has lost time to the cars ahead, though, with that fighting with Bewley, which will be hard to make up in these final 7 laps. Meanwhile, keeping an eye on Damon Woods as he's got Rattray White up ahead of him.
Bewley's got a pit lane penalty, so he's now going to have to trundle down the lane, and that just says, I'm getting a little bit too elbows out here. They may be tin tops out there, Reese, but you can't buff them around like a touring car.
Yeah, that black flag wasn't for the off-track excursion we saw earlier. Bewley's going to try and make the pass on Shepard with the penalty hanging over his head. Off the circuit now. That's going to allow Marina Morella by as well. Bewley's not going to come into the pits this time to take the penalty. To clarify, it was for the contact back on lap 8 with Zach Hanlon that happened just before the safety car came in.
Oh, and I think right now that you're looking at this here, Dylan Shepard's very unhappy at the position he sets himself in. He's got to slow down. It's been given to him because he was pushed off by Tom Bewley. He's had to give up the time, and he's still having to give up time here. He knows that he will look around at Stuart Ellis, who's there behind, finally served, and he will look around at it and go, what on earth are you doing, Tom? Your race is wrecked by the fact that you got a penalty. Suddenly, top 5 are clear at the front with 6 laps to go, and these drivers here, like Shepard, like Bewley, are just taking the race completely out of their own contention.
Yeah, Mired back now at the back end of the top 10. Stuart Ellis could stand to gain a bit here, but I'm sure that he won't try to race his teammate too hard. On board here with Ellis as we see that front 5 now starting to break away. Antal Sabo, in fact, was the quickest car on track last time by, but pretty much all of them were running high 56s. There was barely anything in the lap time between Rattray White, Woods and Sabo.
No, nothing between them, so they're basically holding their ground well, and this is Stuart Ellis, and now here comes the look from Dylan Shepard down the inside of Tom Bewley to say, look, I'm going to want to get it in. Oh, that was inevitable, wasn't it? Oh. Contact there, 1-2 punch. Bewley's going to get on the radio, and he's in the barriers.
Well, he still has to come through pit lane to serve that penalty, and well, with the contact there, trying to hold the outside, he's going to fall outside the top 20 as a result of that. Back up to Damon Woods then. He's looking to make a move on Rattray White at the final corner. Potentially a slowdown for Rattray White out of the chicane, but I don't think that was the case. Or was it? Rattray White seems to be dropping back a bit further now, and there's a good run happening for Antal Sabo. A little bit of a weave, but let's see if he gets alongside to turn 1.
I think he caught a wiggle and then just said, look, I'm going to let you have it. And it's not often that you see that, but these two have been looking around at each other saying, we're going to play championship game as much as we can. 5 laps to go right now for Sebastian Eskandari to hold back Dean Mackay and Damon Woods. And you know, if one thing about Damon, when he gets his bit between the teeth, he doesn't let go. He's very much like watching a dog with a bone. You're not going to get it off of him.
Yeah, he's relentless. Absolutely full on. When he gets up the front, he doesn't look back, but now he is more than enough looking forward here on Mackay and Eskandari. And Mackay is the one who's trying to put the move on Sebastian at the moment, so there's plenty of opportunity here for Woods to take advantage of a bit of side-by-side. They'll stay in single file through the southern hairpin, though. I've got to say, full credit to Eskandari. He's done a good job of holding on to the lead so far with all this pressure behind him, but the race is far from over.
No, not yet done. And I think that's going to be so important to note that everybody now is sitting up and saying, where do I stand and what do I need to do? Dean Mackay, I think, has driven a really lovely race here today in this race too. He's been playing his cards well, and he's got a run. And now to the Falcon Bogan. Will he now snip away to the inside? Yes, he will, but he's on the wrong side of the road now. Up for the Vido chicanery. Dean Mackay trying to go the long way around for the race lead. No, he's shuffled out of it. Runs wide. Damon Woods. Oh, perfect.
Excellent job from Damon there. The door opened and he walked right through it. Mackay put himself at a disadvantage by getting on the outside line into the chicane there. I mean, we've seen that move attempted enough times tonight that we pretty much know how it's going to work out. And down one spot now for Dean Mackay, but for Damon Woods, only one more car to pass before he's back in the lead.
And that's a Damon Woods, by the way, with damage on the front left there that has pushed in the bonnet slightly and has done damage to the casing there of the lights there on the left-hand side. So that's not going to be doing many favours, but he's driving through that without any care in the world. +8, looking to get the double done, and he will see that Sebastian Eskandari is not one to give it up, and these will be 4 of the longest laps out there in this race. Lucky Capel, your biggest gainer in the field, but Damon Woods knows he wants it, and he knows he wants to put some daylight in the championship.
Use all of the curb as much as you can out of turn 6 and try to find the move into the southern hairpin. He goes for it. There it is, and he's gone deep. Eskandari off, and that's going to put Dean Mackay back into second, and Eskandari sent off into the gravel trap.
Well, he's gone from conductor to class of, I would say, commoner out there with the way that's gone about. First to fit in a heartbeat, and just like that, Damon Woods leads, but that was brutal. He outbroke himself, saw the first opportunity and went mine, and ultimately you look now at Damon Woods. He leads, Dean Mackay is second, but there'll be a lot of talking, and Race Control will have a good look at this. Big lunge down the inside. You gotta be better than that on the brakes.
Yeah, there was no way he was going to be making the apex, even if he did that on his own. And, well, he was ahead of Eskandari at the point of contact, but I think Race Control is going to have to be reviewing that penalty matrix to see how to go about that. Now that Woods is in front, he's got clear air, and he has 3 laps left to try and build a gap. But I think if Race Control do decide that's worth a penalty, they'll surely put him behind Eskandari.
Well, minimum penalties 5 seconds, and now here comes ZR Dub looking for the chance. Zach Rattray White with a big old send. Antal Sabo now sits back in and says, I'd love a podium. I would love a way to get through into third.
Yeah, he's thinking about the championship, of course. 4th place in the standings coming into this round. Eskandari trying his best to get up the inside of turn 5 there. Or turn 4, sorry. But it's rather difficult to get the momentum out of the corner when you're on that tight line. So he needs to wait for another opportunity. What's the safety car for?
I'm looking, Jordan Malcolm and Stefan McCartane are both around and stopped on circuit, so this will put another spanner in the works late on. Something's gone on between the pair of them, I think, or it's 2 separate incidents. My, oh my.
Yeah, I'm reviewing it myself. Looks like a mechanical black flag also for Harry Lawrence, and I think I've just seen what the cause is, at least for Jordan Malcolm. Pat Klein was stopped at the apex of the second corner of the Schumacher S.
I've seen that one. I've seen both. I think it's a case McCartan and O'Reilly have got together. It's happened at exactly the same time, so it's 2 replays we'll have to get of it here, courtesy of OG Gear, and they might just have to give this one a 1-lap shootout for just how much damage there is left out there from everybody. So I think we'll need a good look of it. So this is, that's off. That's definitely not ideal out there, and that's almost getting into Jordan Malcolm there.
Yeah, meanwhile, this is the incident for the right sim racing car, Jordan Malcolm. Hello, Pat Klein, who had already spun on the way into the corner. He took too much curb on the way in and spun himself around. Got on the brakes, but came back onto the circuit just as he was coming to a stop. And, yeah, it's a difficult position to be in there. Do you go forward and get back off the circuit, or do you move at all? Pat Klein decided not to move, and unfortunately, that caused a massive crash.
It's a massive hit. We also need to see O'Reilly and McCartane exactly the same time as that came through. So they were working on this side-by-side battle. So you can see they pushed hard off of the Goodyear hairpin. So they got a bit of biffo up to the Schumacher S. Then they leave each other just enough room. and fight again coming off the exit. So now they'll have to fight. Oh, and then there's one in the wall. So they save it initially, but then now what happens here at Xiaomi gets to the inside, then there's the contact, and then the suspension caves.
Oh, and a hit on the way through as well. There's the recovering Pat Klein gets past him. In fact, Harry Lawrence got through on that as well. That's where Harry Lawrence got his particular incident to one of many bringing out this safety car. Goodness me. I'm going to need a solid rest after this one, Sperry. If this is what it's like every round, I can't imagine how you hold up over the course of a season.
Have you heard my voice? I can't.
Yeah, getting a little raspy there. This is Pat Klein on the grass on the way into the Schumacher S. Just too much curb and good avoiding action by Danny Davison there, but comes to a stop right there and bam!
Oh, it's sickening. And, you know, that sort of hit's going to hurt. We are going to have a one-lap shootout here. Woods, Mackay, Rattray White, Sharbo, your top four. Look out for those who have been big gainers to jump into the top 10. Ryan Jones currently holds it at this point in time. Ewan Baker and Reese Wakefield up 10 and 12 respectively are going to look to try and jump up. This is going to be an all-out blazing last lap. And how will Damon Woods look to play this on the restart? Dean Mackay is going to need the restart of his life if he wants to challenge the number 56 for position. But lest we forget that Race Control would have needed to have had a look at what happened between Damon Woods and Sebastian Eskandari down at the hairpin then as they set. Reese, pick a winner.
I guess it would be Damon Woods on track at least, but we've still got to wait for that penalty to come in if Race Control do decide it's worth one. But if that ends up being the case, then it will be between Mackay and Rattray White, and I would put money on Zach a little bit more in this one. That being said, Mackay has had incredible form in this race, and he certainly deserves that podium finish. Here we go. Woods is away. Take it away, Sperry.
Well, that's a lovely launch, and Dean Mackay got a bucket of understeer to go and work with in the last shootout at the OK Corral. Everybody now knows they've got to chuck the absolute kitchen sink at it here in the final stages. One lap to go here at the Nurburgring. Mackay, uber defensive, set up to the inside. He's going to turn him straight across. What a stop by Damon Woods. He avoided all of it as they went on through. Now here comes Antal Sabo, looking for a way to get there. And it's Contact Eskandari. They both go around now. Marina Morella is now up into P3. Oh my goodness me. Dylan Shepherd now will look at that as they set themselves off. This last lap is carnage at the moment. Damon Woods is clear, but it's all about now who's left in the picture. Shepherd back up to fourth. Kerr is now fifth. For sixth, it's side by side as they work through as the 57's there. Look at them. They're all scrapping with everything at the moment in the mid-pack as they go through. There's carnage everywhere. There goes a Max Boost boot lid as it's gone on through. But down the hill they go and into this next section. One of the 9.5 cars now scrapping hard. There's Muir with Sabo who's dropped the time. With Hayden Veld who's now there chucking to try and get anything back. Back up the hill for third. Marina Morella under pressure at this stage. But now here comes the charge up to Xiaomi corner, and where do you find everything out there in terms of this move? You're not going to set itself up here, but you're going to use Bill Stein corner for it. Oh, you're going to look at Bill Stein trying to get this past. He's not going to find that one working. Not a chance of that as behind. They're running wide. LB places lost for Stuart Ellis. Baker and Jones are going to pick those up, and they aren't going to mind one iota as far as it goes. Final lunge then for third place. Not quite there, but it'll be drive off the exit for here for Dylan Shepherd. It's covered by Marina Morella. Nobody is going to stop that guy. Damon Woods on the double for the second time this season. My, oh my, what a race.
And Shepherd losing spots on the way to the line, potentially with a slowdown to serve. He'll ultimately finish in P7 there as the rest of the field comes across the line. Just a 30-car drag race, really, that we're seeing as everyone, I think, mercifully makes it to the line. Bit further back, cars that had issues here on this final lap. Car 101 there finding its way to the line. And the number 8 of Jack Widdus is going to give way to Sam Chapman there, who's actually a lap down on him, so he won't gain any spots out of that one. First car a lap down, Sam Chapman. In fact, third car a lap down behind Danny Davison and Harry Lawrence. We still had 33 finishes. Actually make that 32 on the lead lap. Goodness me, what a race.
What a way. What an absolute way. And it all kicks itself into play with some amazing racing that has taken its toll here at the Nurburgring. And I tell you what, they know how hard they've had to race for that one and get the results necessary. So with everybody over the line, with only Davidson not finding a finishing rider, take a look at this. Zach Rattray-White, too aggressive down the inside. Lane got shut. And how nobody else gets caught up in that is just the skill of a driver.
Yeah, I'd love to see that from Damon Woods' perspective. There's Eskandari getting into Sabo, and, well, it looked like both of them were getting into the corner a bit too hot there, frankly. Yeah, just one of many problems that were had here on this final lap. The Orbit Drop Bear car of, I believe that's Lachlan Capel, getting involved in all of that too. He got a black flag for his troubles, as well as that was a massive crash coming out of turn 4. I don't even know who was involved there. I mean, with 44 drivers in the server and that many crashes happening on the final lap, it's really easy to lose your way.
Oh, incredibly easy to lose your way if you're not paying attention, if you're not careful. The Nürburgring is a tricky, tricky circuit, even if you're only on Grand Prix Strecker. Right, Damon Woods' view of this one then. Looks around, here we go. How much contact is there going to be? You've got to leave the room, and he just jams it on the brake. He's just so deep on the brakes. He just waits for the car to go by, and then he just looks at it. That's the practical end-or brake maneuver as he gets his victory sorted in 45 minutes and 25 seconds, and he wins out there in a... blink and you miss it.
Yeah. Goodness me, that's real heads-up driving from Woods. He saw that happening in his mirrors and decided, yep, I'm just going to take it a bit easier into turn 1 this time. It worked out for him.
A win by 2.3 over Zach Rattray-White for Damon Woods. Marino Morella will end up third ahead of Zach Kerr and Dylan Shepherd. What a day for Ryan Jones. Started 32nd after his qualifying, ends the night in 6th ahead of Ewan Baker and Campbell Adams. Zachary Hanlin is 9th. As Lewis Greathead would round out your top 10. Over the page, you've got Brock Gilchrist and Antal Sabo, with Hayden Veld and Sam Muir 13th and 14th. Jackson Raihana, great recovery in this race too. He gets 15th ahead of Seth Brown and Dean Mackay, who was up right at the top heading into the final lap. Sebastian Eskandari as well, dropping back with Miles Burgess and Angus Lawford, making up your top 20 for Project 36. Then we go to 21st, where Tom Bewley finds himself with Rick Kuznetsov, Stuart Ellis and Josh Perway in 23rd and 24th, and Hugo Allen there in 25th, leading home Jack Widdus and Simon Mazzomo. Widdus getting caught up in that last lap incident out of turn 4. Tice Hodge, Reese Wakefield and Lachlan Capel made up your top 30, with 31st and 32nd, Jacob O'Reilly and Corey Lazarus, last cars on the leading lap. Kane Ryder would be the first to lap down, with Danny Davidson both for Max Boost, as Harry Lawrence 2, Klein 3, McCartan 3, Malcolm 3, Sam Chapman and Byron Pierce also 3 laps down as far as that one went, with Jet Saragi out along with Scott Rankin, and then Lockhart Brownlee and Bo Albert getting less laps than the safety car out there here today for running. Great chance though to talk with some of our drivers. I don't have move perms. Let's go talk to your back-to-back race winner here tonight, because Damon Woods in the number 56 for Falcon Sim Racing, absolutely boss performance. Damon, I think the only place we have to start is that last lap and the blink across your screen of OPR Gamma Flare. Talk about the heads-up maneuver you needed to do to avoid that one.
Yeah, look, I was on Deafin in Discord, so I didn't have any comms from the boys, so I saw a car barreling in like a blue shell in Mario Kart, and yeah, luckily I saw it in the mirror as a quick flash, and I was like, oh, that's not good. And then, yeah, it popped down my right screen, and yeah, luckily turned out, because yeah, that would have been me stripped of a win. But I mean, I'll take it considering we'll drop down at least P14 on lap 1, so that was a good recovery.
It's wonderful the way you had to recover. It was a race that felt very choppy out there, and especially having to win that race or the races tonight 2 different ways. You had the ability to break away in race 1 with the pure pace, but there you had to really fight and go for it. But talk us through that pass that got you into the race lead with Sebastian Eskandari, because it looked like it was first opportunity. Try and just get it slowed up on the brakes.
Yeah, look, it was probably a little bit egregious on my behalf. I do apologise to Seb for that. Said, yeah, I needed to surprise him because I knew if I showed my card first, he was going to just defend white line for the rest of the race. So that was kind of my mentality into it. It was a bit of a bomb. We'll see what happens with that. I mean, I got to the corner first. Again, there's grey areas in that, but yeah, look, I think it was ambitious, but not completely outside the letter of the law. But again, we'll leave that up to race control. That's not my decision to chime in on that. But yeah, nonetheless, it was pretty tense, that's for sure.
Well, the way you've gone about your business this season, I think, has been nothing short of sensational. To go out there and to start at the Hockenheimring, you looked absolutely faultless. At Spa, I think you were looking at just trying to score the points that you've needed to. You've got 4 out of your first 6, exactly where you want to. Lowest you've finished so far this season is 2nd. It's Le Mans next time out. Does that offer a different style of racing out there? Do you think that the long drafting places like the Mulsanne is going to make that more even?
Yeah, I mean, if we look at Pesk with their rounds at Le Mans, it's always been carnage. And to top off, this car's definitely got a stronger aero package in terms of how the draft works. So I think it's going to be pack racing, just like Talladega kind of thing. For me, I'm happy. I've got teammates that I can work with, which I think will be beneficial. I think we just need all our cars to be up there. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be who can put in a good lap in quali with the toe and then just play the game as it arrives in front of us, I think.
Well, go celebrate, because you've got 2 race wins here for the first time in this series. But critically, I would say you're well on your way to a big championship lead. Damon Woods getting the job done as far as today goes. Reece Gardner has walked down the virtual paddock. He's got himself along with Zach Rattray-White.
Well, it's a pair of 2nd places for you today, Zach. Good haul of championship points to keep you in touch with Damon. Just tell us your perspective of that final lap incident that you had with Mr. Mackay. Looked like a bit of an optimistic dive to me, but what was your perspective of it?
I think there was a gap and it closed halfway through the braking zone. So let the stewards decide what it was, but I think it's pretty clear from my point of view. Fair
enough. Regardless, aside from that, fantastic results from the races tonight, from 5th to 2nd in race 1, from 9th to 2nd in race 2. It was all about staying out of trouble while keeping the aggression up. A difficult circuit to actually make passes at some places too.
Yeah, it's hard because the field's pretty close. You got to make sure that the rear tires, in particular, for me at least, were cold enough, and they just kept overheating. So yeah, it definitely made things hard, either passing or defending.
Well, Sperry asked the same question to Damon Woods. What do you think Le Mans is going to bring? Because the slipstream is going to kick in hard at that circuit. We'll also have a much longer lap to deal with, which could result in more likelihood for safety cars, with cars not being able to get around.
Yeah, I loved watching Pesk when they were racing there. So hopefully we can have the same kind of racing that they had. It's just, always biding your time to the last lap.
Yeah, indeed. Well, regardless, great points haul today, Zach, and a huge thanks for joining us up here in the commentary box. Hopefully we're chatting to you again next time.
Thanks, mate.
2nd place in both races today for Mr. Rattray-White. His teammate, Marino Morella, has stood by with you, Sperry.
Yeah, and it's been a long day for you, Marino, having qualified the car in 16th, worked your way up for the invert into 9th position, then starting 2nd, finishing 3rd. So talk about the highs and lows of the racing there and having to climb your way to go and get the results you needed today.
Oh, I mean, this race was just so chaotic. I can't even imagine what happened, towards the back of the field. I just somehow managed to just keep my nose clean in race 1 and find myself on the reverse top 10, front row, and yeah, no, struggled on the first couple laps. I just couldn't get heat into my tires, and got pushed around a little bit and fell back. But I just kept the car clean, kept it consistent. Played it smart more than anything else, and just fortunate that things in front of me happened, even though I didn't have the raw speed today to justify my position on the podium today.
Well, I think you had a last lap of dreams there in that race too, because you were absolutely nowhere near being up for that podium. But turn one, there goes one, and then turn two, there goes two more. Suddenly, you're out there in a scrap with Dylan Shepherd.
Yeah, look, I guess it's just right place, right time. Every time you go racing, you need a little bit of luck alongside some car speed. And yeah, look, just fortunate to be in that position. Obviously the driving standards in and around tonight have been a bit crazy, so I think hopefully we can look to tone them down in the next few rounds. But if people want to keep crashing into each other, I'll happily keep taking positions and points away from them.
Well, you certainly will look at that and say that's going to be how I get my place in the top 20, and further to that, move up top 10, top 5, look to really score those points. And with Le Mans coming up on the horizon as well, we expect that to be a bit more of a wild card with how much drivers will have the ability to tow, have the ability to sort of gain that advantage through the slipstream. So are you looking at that as circled on the calendar as must make the best of the opportunities there?
I think that's just every round is just make the opportunities when they present themselves. Look, I'm probably not the fastest person at Le Mans, but when you go racing, you need to have teammates around you, and luckily we have some really fast Eclipse cars rolling around. So if we can get ourselves organised and sorted and get the car in the right window, I'm sure we'll be able to pull each other along and hopefully continue this little run we're on in these GTs.
Well, as far as this goes, I can confirm you have been promoted up to second position because Zach Rattray-White has been given a post-race penalty. So congratulations here, a 9th and a 2nd place here, Marino, on your job today.
Thank you so much.
Wow, Reese, what an incredible night's worth of action. And Zach Rattray-White's penalty there would have been for what happened on the final lap, as he was very aggressive to the inside there, trying to find his way past the OPR Gamma Flare car. That's your schedule up on the horizon with all that's coming up in June and July. I tell you what, that is a huge 6 weeks worth of running that'll be going through, which includes the likes of a 500k enduro. And with us, we'll of course be at Le Mans.
Oh, we certainly will, and I'll be on the call for the Sprint Car Pro Invitational Series as well. They're going to be racing next on June the 10th at Fairbury Speedway, so if you're looking for some hard and fast sprint car action, make sure to tune in for that one. It's an absolute rollicking time every time. Myself and Scott Rankin, who we talked to earlier in the broadcast, will be on the call for that one. But V8 Pro making its way to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Very interesting track choice. I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes in the V8 supercars.
Yeah, I will as well. It's going to be one where you got a little bit more of the elevation to worry about in terms of where they are in the world, and so power's going to be a bit diminished. So it's going to play slightly a different factor as far as it goes. For us, well, power is everything around the circuit des 24 Heures du Mans. This is a circuit that has seen it all, done it all from an endurance standpoint, but today, next time out, we're going to be doing it from a sprint perspective, so you can catch that 7:45 AEDT to get yourself in on play for that. But today sits itself as a magical championship position for one number being 56. Damon Woods on top of the world, looking down at everybody else and knowing that the post-race penalty for Zach Rattray-White is going to drop him well out of championship contention. And already at this point in the season, a chasm will be there in and around. From the entire team of Jake Kennedy, Reese Gardner, and myself, Jake Sperry, a pleasure to bring you all of the action. The Nurburgring has seen everybody turn around, say, look, this needs to be the race where we find our heaven. But everyone turned around, really fought for it, basically got themselves dug in and said, this was our personal green hell. Not for him in the green and blue, though. He dominates, and he now walks on wings over to Le Mans.
Hi, I'm Jada. I currently race GT3 in Australia. It's a cool brand. The socks and the gloves are quite cool, and it's good to use on the sim. High quality materials, and most importantly, comfortable. Quite cool to feel all the bits doing their job, and it was good.